Meetings Act and due to the current state of the emergency and public health emergency declared by Governor Phil Murphy, in an effort to prevent further spread of COVID-19, the October 28th, 2020 Planning Board meeting will be held virtually via this Zoom in lieu of an in-person meeting. This meeting is scheduled to commence at 7:30. Notice of this virtual teleconference meeting was posted at the Borough Municipal Building, posted on the Borough Bulletin Board designed for that purpose, mailed to the official newspapers as provided by Borough Ordinance, filed with the municipal clerk, and on the Borough website 48 hours prior to the meeting, giving the date, time, location, and login call-in information for this virtual teleconference. The meeting is started at 7:33. Roll call, Pat.
Mayor Moore,
Present.
Councilman Carter,
Present.
Mr. Boris,
Here.
Mr. Jukes,
Here.
Mr. Lysicatos,
Here.
Ms. Seefeld,
Here.
Mr. Sherry,
Here.
Mr. Steigerwald,
I heard him through your wall.
yeah, I thought I heard it through my wall too, Mr. Maddie,
Here.
Ms. Hamel,
Here.
Ms. Moore,
Here.
Mr. Molinar,
Here.
Mr. Bulis,
Here.
Mr. Sullivan,
Present.
Mr. Panagopoulos,
Present.
Ms. Patel. I see Jenke, so I know she's here.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Excellent. All right, we have no minutes to review. Before getting to new business and carrying on with the Soho landmark application, I just want to make an announcement that Confer 254 Midway will not be heard tonight. There'll be no further notice. It'll be put to the next planning board meeting on November. I should know this one better.
No,
No, it won't be.
you'll have to notice.
Oh, okay, she'll have to
Carry
notice. So notice will be given for when it's next on the board.
Correct. Thank you.
All right. So new business, block 40, lot 30, 40 Arlene Court, Santa Maria. While we're getting to starting it, let me bring up on my screen the comments. All right, I had the wrong comments. Okay, the construction official has no objection. The fire department has no objection. The Department of Public Works has no objection. The Board of Health, to whom it may concern, the Board of Health has no objection. All right, so that's a comment. If I see James Santamaria, I'm assuming that's the applicant.
Yep, that's us.
Okay, and you're unmuted. Diane, if you want to swear them in.
Please raise your right hand. Did you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yep.
Please
All
state
right.
your name and address for the record.
Lisa Santa Maria, 40 Arlene Court, Fanwood, New Jersey.
Ray, why don't you give us a quick heads up on what this application is about, and then they can tell us a bit about their project.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, members of the board, mayor, and public. For the next 2 hours, I'm going to talk about the Santa Maria driveway expansion. I'm only kidding. The Santa Maria parties reside at 40 Arlene Court in the R75 zone. Additional a driveway expansion of 240 square feet onto an existing driveway and an 80 square foot rear yard shed. The parcel as it exists today is offered at 35.85%. That's due to an oversized patio that was on the parcel when the Santa Maria party purchased it. The new additional impervious coverage adds 320 square feet onto the parcel, which drives the percent to 40.29%. It's the hopes and anticipation of the Santa Marias that a relief will be granted to offer them an expanded driveway and the 80 square foot shed. The lot is offered at 7,200 square feet, where 7,500 is the minimum requirement for the R75 zone. The lot width is just under the 75, offered at 71.98, and the pre-existing conditions of the patio that already exist. A side yard setback of 9 feet is required, 6 feet is available on site now, and the rear yard requirement is 25, and the parcel is offered at 22 with a pre-existing patio. That's pretty much the meat and potatoes of this application. Again, it's an additional 320 square foot of additional impervious coverage on this parcel.
Can you just tell us what the impervious coverage maximum is?
35% is the maximum. The parcel exists today at 35.85. The additional impervious coverage brings the new percent up to 40.29%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. and Mrs. Santamaria, why don't you tell us a little bit about the project and what you're trying to achieve?
Sure. So the driveway right now is a 1-car, you could fit 1 car in width. So we just want to expand it to be able to fit 2 cars side by side. Just to be able to, put 2 cars, so you don't have to pull 1 car out to be able to pull the front car out, basically just go side by side. And the shed in the backyard is just an 8x10 shed, just for toy store, storage for kids' toys, patio furniture, yard materials, things like that. I don't know, I have nothing else.
No,
There's not too much.
It's fairly straightforward. Antonio, do you have any comments on this one?
Yeah, just a couple things. The plan or the sketch that I got does not show the location of the shed. Do you have something that, do you have an idea of where it's gonna go?
Yeah, I think there was,
Go ahead.
I think there were a couple of sketches that went out, but the latest one should have the shed in the back. Yep,
Okay.
back left corner, 3 feet from the fence on both sides.
Okay.
Yep.
And the sketch, again, the sketch that I have is showing like the expansion only on your property. You're stopping it at the property line. So it's not your intention to have a straight line to the street? So you're not widening,
sorry.
you're not widening the driveway at the street?
No, it should be at the street as well. Yeah.
Okay, so you're only showing, kind of like you're widening. I'm gonna share my screen if that's okay.
Let's go for it.
Okay. And we had sent out 2 applications. We had a first application and then we had a second round. So I don't know if
Okay.
maybe, are we looking
Yeah,
at
maybe I just didn't see the second one. So it's showing that you're stopping here at the property line. You see that?
Am
Am I sharing the right screen?
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
see you have
no,
the-
just.
Like right,
there
this
was
is the property line and then this is the street line. So I don't know if
yeah,
right.
no, it should go all the way to the street line.
so you're looking to do this instead.
Yes.
So this is all gonna be driveway, okay. So you're going to need a road opening permit because you're doing the new curb.
Okay.
You're gonna lower the curb, so you're gonna have to work with the DPW to get the road opening permit. You'll work with me to do a drainage plan because you're increasing your impervious area by more than 200 square feet. And then, other than that, I think, the intention is to make sure we're not impacting adjacent neighbors with the new impervious work that you're installing. So we'll work together when you're in the permit process, get that done.
Sounds good.
And that's all I have.
Ray, any other comments? Or not? Yeah, Ray.
No, I pretty much offered my land management opinion and interpretation, and I see Antonios's point. And just for clarification, the math that I quoted earlier speaks to 100% on the property. The area that you saw Antonio's drawing in that connects the property line to the curb line is considered part of the borough right-of-way. So that calculation is not considered in the math in response to the application, but it's incorporated into the street opening permit and calculations on the street opening and engineering side of the stormwater management requirements.
All right, I'll just quickly go through the board members to see if any of them have any questions for you. John, do you have any questions for the applicant? Nope. Okay. Kevin, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No questions.
Okay. Michelle, any questions for the applicant?
Yes, I'm curious. You have, it looks like there might be a tree in the space where you plan to put the driveway. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
And so you would take down that tree. Would you have any plans to put another tree somewhere, add it back somewhere else or anything?
I wasn't planning on it because there wouldn't be any more space on our property over there. But I wouldn't be against it if it was required. We could maybe find somewhere to put a small tree. It's not a very large tree that's there now.
That's all.
Okay. Amy, any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Dennis, any questions for the applicant?
No questions.
Miramar, any questions for the applicant?
No questions.
Jack, any questions for the applicant?
No.
Adamati, any questions for the applicant?
No questions.
Teresa, any questions for the applicant?
No questions.
Councilman Carter, any questions for the applicant?
No questions. Good luck.
Thank you.
Michael Lysiakatos, any questions for the applicant? Nope. Okay, and I'm just checking. That does look like everybody. I have no questions for the applicant. With that, we'll open it to the public to
Like to make a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The meeting is now open to the public. I'm going to go through as best I can through the public members, just seeing if you have any questions related to this applicant or comments for this application. Yannick Salazar Tracy.
Hi. This is for the court. I don't know.
Soho? Okay, yeah.
Wait. I'm sorry. Is this for Soho or is this for the prior issue?
This is for the driveway and
Driveway.
shed.
I am so sorry. So
No. It's okay. Don't worry. Miss Jeffries? Liz? Nope. Okay. S. Lau, do you have any questions?
No, sir, not at this time.
No, okay. Robert Larson?
No, I'm a professional for the next application.
Okay, sorry, I should know that, but I don't. Sorry. Alice MCM?
No questions.
Okay. Richard Golden, then the name ends.
Golnick is the.
He's the attorney for the applicant.
Thank you. Sorry, Joe Staggard is also for the other application. Warren, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Matt, any questions?
He's for the application.
Okay. Michael
So it's Michael
Gottlieb.
Gottlieb.
Yeah, is for the other. Mike H. Any questions? I'll keep moving. The next one is a PE, which I'm guessing is for the next application.
Yep, that's me. Next up.
Yeah. Frank, any questions? Jeff Wineflash, any questions for the application?
He's for the next.
Oh, okay, thank you. Gary Morris?
No.
No, okay. And finally, there's a 609 ending in 38 phone number. Okay. I didn't expect any questions, but I went through everything. All right, can I get a motion to close it to the public?
Like to make a motion to close the meeting to the public.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. If anybody has from the board any comments for this one, please raise your hand and seeing as nobody had questions, I'm not expecting too many comments. I don't really have too much. It's a fairly straightforward. Go for it, Dennis.
As long as there's a rainwater, we call retention or put together for this, for the, extended impervious as well. And I think every effort to replant a tree, I think it's important. I'm generally for this application, so.
Okay, anybody else have any other comments or thoughts? Can I get a motion for this application?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application with the considerations that the applicants will work hand in hand with our engineers as far as stormwater retention and to replant at least one tree somewhere on the property.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. You're muted, Pat.
Ready? Mr. Carter,
Affirm.
Mr. Sherry,
Yes.
Mayor Mara,
Yes.
Mr. Jukes,
Yes.
Mr. Boris,
Yes.
Mr. Matty,
Yes.
Mr. Lysicatos,
Yes.
Ms. Seefeld,
Yes.
Mr. Steigerwald, John, could you unmute?
No.
Okay, motion carries.
So in a month, you'll at our November 18th meeting, we'll memorialize it and you'll be able to pick up your permits after that.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much. Good luck
Thank
with the
you.
driveway. All right, so moving on to block 65, lots 2 and 3, 274, 278, 282 South Avenue, Soho Landmark. I'm gonna read the updated comments that we've received. First from the Office of the Fire Official in accordance with the International Fire Code New Jersey edition. 503-2-1 dimensions, fire apparatus access roads shall have an unobstructed width of not less than 20 feet, except for approved security gates. 503-2-2 surface fire apparatus access roads shall be designed and maintained to support the imposed loads of the fire apparatus and shall be surfaced as to provide all weather driving capabilities. 503-2-4.2.4 turning radius, the required inside turning radius of the fire apparatus access road shall be a minimum of 25 feet, meet the requirements of the Scotch Flames ladder truck. 503-2-5 dead end fire apparatus roads shall in excess of 150 feet in length shall be provided with an approved area for turning the fire apparatus. 503.4 obstructed fire apparatus access road access road shall not be obstructed in any manner, including the parking of vehicles, the minimum widths, and the clearance established in section 503-2.1. And now I think these next ones are more continuations with some new comments. Electrical wires on South Avenue and First Street relocated underground. If the building is sprinkler Siamese connection, for the building shall be 5-inch connections in front of buildings. Have a Knox box installed. Have access road with a width of minimum of 25 feet for the rear of the structure. Plans are only shown with 20-foot width. At this time, we have no access on South Avenue and the First Street due to the wires. There is no access to the rear of the structure on west side of the structure. And the fire department reserves the right to further review and comment on any proposed modifications to the aforementioned plan. Police department, no objection. Construction official, parking spots dropping from 102 to 90. The required parking spaces will drop from 5 to 4. Okay.
It's for ADA probably.
Yes, ADA parking spots dropping from 102 to 90. Thank you. Yes. I missed that. From the mayor's designee in accordance with the provisions of the land use ordinance.
Belong there.
Okay.
Skip to the last page.
The last page, yep. The Board of Health, no objections. All right. Now we're
Reminder
ready.
everyone that you need to be on mute.
Yes, please, everyone, if you're not muted,
That's
please.
for the residents as well as all of
John,
us.
John Steigerwald, do you want to mute?
And just like the last application, we'll go through the same process of, we'll go through the application, the testimony, and then we'll open it up for the planning board to ask questions and the public to ask questions of that official, that witness. So the lawyer, Richard, you're the lawyer?
Yes, I am.
All right. Let's get this continued.
Can you hear me okay, Chairman?
I can hear you
members?
fine. Yeah.
Okay, my microphone seemed to be on a little bit of an issue. If I have a problem, I'll just call in, but it looks like we're okay for now. So that would just take a second. So thank you for your time, Chairman, members of the board. I'm representing Landmark at Fanwood LLC this evening. This is a continuation of the August 26th hearing. We did take copious notes at the hearing that night, and we intend to address the issues that were raised. In the last 2 months, there has been a tremendous amount of back and forth between the applicant and its professionals and the board's professionals to address the concerns that were raised and the various comments in the review letters. We come back to you with what we hope is a stronger plan and one that addresses most, if not all, of the issues that were raised. To name a few of the important issues, we were able to change the roof line to reduce the building height. As you know, the unit count overall was reduced to 58 from 62. 9 of the 58 are affordable units. So there is, I note, a significant contribution to the borough's affordable housing obligation. We did eliminate the height variance on the First Street elevation. That complies now with the borough's height ordinance. We are very confident that we've satisfied the concerns of the fire department concerning access in the rear as well as the ambulance squad. In terms of bicycle parking, we have a methodology of resolving that. We can just add additional bike racks on the walls at a location to be identified if we need more. We have an enhanced landscaping plan. With that reduction in 4 units, there's a material reduction in the parking deviation, and we come closer to compliance. Just as a quick recap to get us into where we're going to go tonight. In August, you heard from the civil engineer, Dan Shaynell. And if you recall, he testified on parking and stormwater, utilities, lighting, landscaping, and so on. And he went through some of the letters from your professional staff. And that night, we had our second witness, Joe Steiger, our traffic expert, and he talked about his report, capacity analysis, the proximity of the property to the train station, and various parking counts. And we ended at that spot. What we would like to do tonight is start with our architect, Rob Larson. He's going to, again, provide an overview, show you the elevations, the floor plan, and many of the site elements. When he's done, we'll come back for a few minutes of testimony from both Mr. Shaynell and Mr. Steiger to really address the open issues that various members of the board and the public had raised. Again, we took a lot of notes on those, so we think we could cover just about everything. And then if we get to it, Mr. Larson will come back. He's our planner as well as the architect. So I hope I've sort of shaped where we're at a little bit, and we're ready to call Rob Larson.
Okay. So Diane, if he's going to be a witness as both an architect and a planner, should we have him recognized for both right now at the same time? Okay, so could you tell us a little bit about your experience as both an architect and as a planner so that we can recognize you as an expert?
Sure. Just first for the record, my name is Robert Larson, Larsen. I am a licensed planner and licensed architect in this state. Both licenses are in good standing. I hold a degree from NJIT. Oh, I'm sorry.
1 second. Diane, should we swear him in first? I realize. No? Okay, keep going. Sorry.
So I hold a degree. I can't hear her though. I think she's trying to swear me in.
You're muted, Diane.
Oh, you are trying to swear him. You're muted, Diane.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. You can continue. Sorry about that.
Okay, so again, I hold a Bachelor's of Architecture from New Jersey Institute of Technology, achieved in 1997. I have been employed by the firm of CPL since 1998, where I'm currently a member. I have been a licensed architect and planner, licensed in architecture since 2005, planning 2011. I have focused my practice and professional efforts in multifamily housing, redevelopment throughout our state over that time. I've testified in front of numerous boards, as well as the Superior Court of New Jersey, as both a planner and an architect. I have had the opportunity to speak in front of this board before for the Station Square project. I believe only as an architect in that regard. I can continue if you like.
Can I get a?
I'll make a motion.
Sorry? Can I get a motion to recognize him as both an expert witness in architecture and planning?
I make a motion to recognize the witness as an expert in architecture and planning.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, you're now recognized as an expert in those two fields. Please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Larson, can you go ahead and give us your testimony and
Sure.
the overview, please? And you're able to share your screen, right?
It looks like I have permission to share my screen, but before I share my screen, I'll just start by saying, obviously I didn't testify last time. I'm going to begin just by sharing the updated site plan, which was prepared by my peer, Mr. Chanel. And I'm going to start off my testimony really just with a brief overview and to tell, oddly enough, the updates and changes that we've made just in a reaction to the last hearing, and then I'll proceed to go through, my full testimony in detail. So if I may, I'm going to share, hopefully. Okay, can everyone see the colored version of the site plan?
Okay, and
yeah,
this has a new date. So we're on Exhibit A3, and we're going to call this a rendered site plan. And can you give us the date on this, please? I think it is October 28th.
I believe you are correct. So this is and again, this is prepared by Dynamics Office. I'm using it just for orientation. It is a color version of their site plan sheet dated October 28th, 2020. Again, just for a reminder, this is still the proposed layout of the site, the orange being the building, South Avenue to the top, First Street to the right, points of parking access off of First Street here, points of pedestrian access on both First as well as a main entrance, commercial all along South, and a main entrance to the inner court on South Avenue as well. I I know Mr. Skolnick already said some of these things, but I'm just going to repeat that we have reduced the proposed unit count from 62 down to 58. We have therefore gone, with we have 9 affordable units as would be required. Myself, as Mr. Skolnick suggested already, I've spent a good amount of time with your professionals to be sure that our proposed height, our proposed project is interpreted and seen correctly through the ordinance. And I believe we've come to an agreement that I'm calculating correctly, and I hopefully, certainly Ms. Patel would hopefully agree. We've spent a lot of time to be sure that we are within your ordinance in terms of how we view this building and calculate its height and other aspects. We have had an opportunity to find 3 more parking spaces. So the 87 that were previously proposed is now 90. So along with reducing the need for parking by reducing 4 units, we've actually increased the amount of parking from 87 to 90. We have added, and I'll get into this when I go through my building levels, there was a lot of discussion about trash. I'm happy to go through that in greater detail, but we have added a trash holding area that is up under the building, but towards First Street, so that there would be a place for the trash to be held, secured, not in open view, and then able to be taken immediately out for trash collection. In terms of bike parking, and I guess this will end up being, I look forward to hearing from the board. We are currently proposing 34 bike spaces. There's plenty of room to add more. We do require 58 for the residential and 2 for the commercial, which would be 60. There is space to add more on the ground, and there are also devices that we often use in similar environments that actually you can come and hang your bike on the wall. I believe there was a comment from your environmental commission that more bikes were not better. So we
parking, or bike parking.
For bike parking, yes, more. Thank you. So we are able to bring this up into to remove the variance. However, we would like to, what I guess whatever the board's pleasure would be as to adding more to come up to the 60 or leaving it at the 34. We are flexible as an application. There was certainly some discussion over the past couple of weeks about being sure we identify the landscape buffer. I'm going to let Mr. Chenal discuss the landscape and the fencing in greater detail, but I did want to mention that as I go through the building levels, I'm going to be noting that we're going to be adding some walls along the edge of the parking level to be sure that no lights shine to the neighbor to the south, in addition to the plantings and the fence that is in existence. And I will
just point that out, Rob. Where is that location?
So that's right here. And I'm going to go over that in greater detail when I go to my building plans, but there's parking all along here, and we want to make sure that when these cars park, their headlights don't shine into this homeowner's yard. And I'm going to go over that in greater detail. I just wanted to hit the points that were discussed that I recall last hearing. There were also some concerns, and I'll go over the professional letters again, but specifically with your rescue squad, I believe we went back and forth to be sure that we had addressed his concerns about safe communication within the building, stretcher size for their elevators, and like that. So I'm going to go through that as well, but I just wanted to bring the board up to speed with the things that we've done since our last hearing. I'm going to make an attempt at changing the screen. Did that work?
That worked. What do we have exhibit A4 here?
Well, this is not an exhibit unless you tell me. This is actually the filed plans that every board member has, and we're available for public view.
Oh, okay.
Then there's no need to mark it.
Just call out the sheet number if you would and a last revision date.
I will, and what I'd like to do, if you would just bear with me, is go through the building levels. So what we're looking at here is sheet 5 of 12. Again, we are, just for discussion, we are proposing 58 units. There are 49 market units and 9 affordable units. Of the 49 market units, there are 23 one-bedroom and 26 two-bedroom units. And as we go up through the building, you'll find that there are 2 types of dwellings. There are flats and then duplex units. And I'll do those as I go up through the building. In terms of the affordable housing mix, just to set the standard, we are required by the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls to meet a certain mix, and we have. There is 1 one-bedroom unit, 6 two-bedroom units, and 2 three-bedroom units, again, in compliance with UHAC standards. So now, if I may, these are the, this is the ground level parking or underground level parking. My plan here says 56 spaces, but if you actually counted them, there are 57. So that drafts person is now fired. But the this is just showing you that on the underground parking, it is an open parking area, access to the elevator. There are handicap spaces, stairs to get out and come down. And also our garbage room is located right here. This is where the garbage collection area will be. I'll go into greater detail about that in a bit. And this is where we drive in and enter this lower area. So we're looking at sheet 5 of 12. Sheet 6 of 12, excuse me, is our ground floor. On our ground floor, we have, as I mentioned, retail of just under 5,000 feet along South Avenue. There is a grade change with the corner of First and South being the high point coming down, I believe just under 7 feet to this point here, where we have a ramp up the side of the building. We have points of access for the vehicles here off of First Street. Again, I know you guys have seen this already, but it's just for discussion. And then as you pull down this driveway, we have a gate control with, which I believe Mr. Chanel will go into greater detail with an exhibit in terms of the assignment of parking, which then comes down to this ramp which goes below. What we have in this middle here is really what's needed in a modern multifamily building, which is an amenities package. Everything from a multi-purpose room, exercise room, dog washes are quite popular. We have a business center, as well as a parcel room and mail room for obviously packages that come and mail for the tenants. You can see there's this large opening here to South Avenue, which is a stair and accessible entry to come into this middle, which is then your main residential lobby. Here we are at the, again, you can see the 2 elevators really at the center of the building with another point of access out to the parking off of First. We also have an outdoor courtyard right here, which I have a rendering of that I'll share with you guys a little bit later. This area over here is what we've noted as the trash holding area. So as I showed on the ground floor, we have a trash room, which then, this is a in-building compactor. It is chuted. So every floor has a chute. So when you live here, you have recyclables or you have trash, you bring your trash or your recyclables to this point right here where the hand is, and you throw them down. There is a diverter downstairs which accepts, or it could be a 2-chute system. I don't think we've picked the exact model. Recycling goes in one bin, trash goes in the other. It is compacted in a sealed small dumpster. Multiple are left in the room downstairs for when they're needed to be changed out. Those small dumpsters are then rolled out, put into the holding room, and picked up by the carter. So this is not a throw it in and leave it. These are in controlled boxes. It is a system that we use in many multifamily buildings. We find it to be very efficient, very clean, and very manageable. All right, so I'm going to go to now.
Rob,
Yeah.
can you just talk about how these containers will be moved to the holding area so that the big garbage bins are not going to be put out on First Street, and
Yeah,
how we address that concern?
Just to be clear, these are not big dumpsters. They're small on wheels. They do have the I guess the side ears for the hooks of the truck to grab it, but they are much smaller than what we normally picture as a dumpster because they are compacted and there are multiple. You can see here, if I zoom in, that you have the chutes coming down, the compactor, as well as additional storage space for when one fills up, the building management pulls it out. When trash day comes, there's going to be a small powered, it's a small powered, I want to say pallet jack, but it's not. They're made to pull these things up. It'll power up the driveway. Bear with me as I negotiate this program. It'll be brought up here to this room and put in here. When the trash guy comes, he just has to pull it out. Again, it's on wheels and it's picked up right outside of this driveway mouth.
Okay, so the trash is not left outside, it's left inside, and then the trash guy comes and pulls it out.
Correct. And again, this is a private hauler. So this will be coordinated with building management and the hauler. Nothing is ever left outside. And in this normal scenario, this is not the only time this is brought up. I can't overstate enough that these are sealed. These are not, there aren't going to be, you know, the liquids and juices that normally come with this, or worries about smell or rodents, because these are conditioned spaces they're in and going to, and they are sealed containers.
Okay, and then they're left inside until the garbage truck actually comes.
Till that morning, yes.
Just to be clear, okay.
Okay, this, I'll take a moment since before I jump ahead. Come on. So adjacent to this fire lane is the existing single family home. And there has been, you know, in your, relate to us through your professionals and in their reports, concern over the vehicles that are parked along here and facing outward with their headlights. So Mr. Chenal will share the plantings that are along this property line and existing fence that is on this property line. But what I'd like to be sure I relay is that where this says half wall, that means that there's a wall here. This happens to also go down, but the cars that are facing in here will have a wall in front of them, the same as the cars that are here. Leaving this gap, we have again noted a half wall that will be at least 30 inches high to shield the headlights that are parked here. The only opening will be at this pedestrian access, which takes you from the courtyard across and into the fire lane green area. So I just wanted to be clear in terms of relationship of this car use and effects on the neighbor. There will be a low wall that blocks any headlight glare from directly going towards that home, in addition to the plantings and the fence. So we have a few layers of protection there. If I may, we have, again, 3.5 stories of residential above 1 story of retail and parking. We are proposing a building, I'll go into height a little bit later as well, that is a maximum of 49 foot tall and 4.5 stories according to your ordinance. This is the first residential floor above the retail and parking. As you can see, we have a center corridor, a large elevator arrival area with some light coming into it, points of storage and mechanical. Everyone's door is off of this center hallway. We have the garbage collection here, multiple stairs. These units that are noted as LM are the affordable units. There are 5 on this floor, 1 here, 4 in this wing. These are all flats on this floor. These units are, I'll go over what's in the units in a little bit, but these are, nicely sized flats that are, again, on this first residential living floor. As I go to the second floor, you'll note as I switch between, I don't know if that's working for you guys, I know there's lag, but you'll note that now I only have 4 affordable units in this wing, and then what are noted as duplexes. What we've done is added a duplex to this end of the building and actually reduced by 1 story this end, that which is closest to the neighbor's house right here.
Okay, can you just reiterate that? So you were trying to bring the massing down a little bit?
That's correct. And you're going to notice that it'll be more apparent as I go through. Here we go. We'll go up 1 more floor. So this is now residential level 3. On this level, all of these are the first floor of a 2-story unit. We call them duplexes. And we're actually very excited about this. The opportunity to bring not just your standard everyday multifamily housing. These are special units. They're sought after. I was part of the Station Square project, and that was quite well received for the quality of home that we brought there. We really are attempting to do that here. I do a lot of projects that are near train stations, and often the same is brought. It was important to us as we worked through the height, as we worked through the design, to be sure we could really bring this type of home, of this type of unit into this building. These are well above average for a market size. They are well appointed. Again, I'll get into what the units are comprised of, but especially as these days we go through our continuing having a home with a little extra space. A lot of people are now working from home. A lot of people are choosing to stay home and move away from cities. So we were already planning this, and it just becomes more and more appropriate. So we're actually very excited about these duplex units. This is actually for these 2, the second floor, because as I said, that's 1 story lower. And if we go to what is called residential level 4, it's actually the half story. This is the upper unit of the upper floor of the duplexes. Dormers, poke outs on the towers is how these floors gain light, but these are quite dramatic. They have a lot of open to below space. Again, just very attractive homes. I think the opportunity to bring this to Fanwood is, I honestly, like, really cool. And as I said before, Mr. Skolnick pointed out, this end of the building we've lowered by 1 full story. I just want to take a moment to talk about these homes themselves. Each does have an in-unit laundry. They have anywhere from 1 to 2 bathrooms based upon their size and bedroom. They are all accessible. They are required to be when you have a building that is elevator service. All of the units have to be accessible. That includes all the flats and the first floor of all the duplexes. Each unit, for the most part, there are some that don't have balconies, but there are either a Romeo and Juliet balcony, which is just large openings for doors and light and air to come in, or an actual balcony. As if I go down a floor here, you can see those are in those special towers that we're going to look at in a little bit. Lots of closet, these are, again, modern design. Some of the units do have lofts, which again lend themselves to that from home working. The heating and air conditioning is done with magic packs. So a magic pack unit is what is called a packaged unit. It does heating and air conditioning with a through wall situation. If I zoom in, this right here is a magic pack. So there will be a few compressors needed for common areas, but all of the units themselves have their heating and air conditioning inside the unit. That's what these boxes on the exterior wall are. Okay. I'm going to go back to my outline here. Excuse me. So I want to make sure I'm covering all that was discussed last time. I wanted to note that there was a question about the lighting. This goes back to, if I can go to here, these areas here.
You're on sheet 6 now of your plans, the CPL plans.
Yes, and I appreciate your, thank you for bringing me back to that. All that I'm showing is that I've been discussing right now is completely part of the architectural set that was filed. So I'm back to sheet 6. This area here is under parking. There's a ceiling here as well as this. I believe the lighting plan leaves that blank. Happens all the time because that'll be building lighting that is in the ceiling above this parking. Happy to work with your professionals to make sure that the lighting that is provided provides safe levels of lighting for people getting in and out of their vehicles for recognition and just, again, normally we like to keep ample lighting that people can see getting in and out of their vehicles, focusing the light here and here, but that'll all be handled with building lighting mounted underneath the ceiling. In terms of security of access, this is all fob controlled. So if you would like to get into the building, you're gonna buzz to get in. If you live here, you're gonna have a key, fob key to get in. Let's look at what else we have here.
So Ron, just to clarify, the first area off of First Street, there's no gate there, and that's where the parking for retail is and for visitors, correct? Those spots, can you just show us those?
Yeah, so we have this area here with this ramp in between. This, all of this is available to the public. So you can pull in and pull out. Excuse me, there's no gate control. This is enough parking for the retail and does offer visitor parking as well. The gate that is controlled is here for cars. So you'll need to have a fob key. Again, Mr. Chanel will go into greater detail, but there's actually employee parking for those working at the retail. They'll be given the ability to come behind this controlled gate and park their vehicles as well. We do have enough parking behind the gate to have more than one space per unit assigned, which I believe was already discussed. But there are enough cars behind this gate and even exclusive of this employee area to have more than one vehicle assigned per unit.
And in the retail parking area, we had discussions about some signage for perhaps 15-minute parking. So if DoorDash or somebody came by, there could be a short-term parking space to try to keep the cars off of First Street, correct?
Correct.
And a DoorDash or a delivery could come in on First Street, not gated, and we pick one of those spots so cars could come in and come out and get the drop off quickly.
Yes, and to be clear, and I believe we'll end up getting into this later, there is a maximum of 8-foot 2-inch clearance, which is required by handicap vehicle parking clearance for this, this side. This driveway, because it drops down, is actually about 9'4". It is not our intention to bring larger vehicles in and underneath here. That would only increase the height of the building. We do, as Mr. Skolnick, you just reminded, intend, as we're doing in many projects, as is happening in every parking lot now, 5-minute parking for Uber, DoorDash, those type of services that are just more and more prevalent today. There is a, I believe it's approximately 30 feet spot between our driveways here for larger vehicles to stop, load, and unload. Again, I believe Mr. Steiger already spoke to that, and that he may speak to it again.
The idea, Rob, there with that short-term spot is to try to limit the impacts to the extent possible on First Street, to bring that DoorDash inside.
Yes.
So that car won't be parking on First. Or to bring
Absolutely.
an Uber for a pickup in there or something like that.
Yes, and that was heard loud and clear. So we can bring those more those turnover events happening underneath the building and inside. There was, just while we're talking about parking, and I'm looking at my notes here, there was a question about car charging. Would we have any of these parking spaces that would have car charging? Our answer is we would happily do at least one, but then there's, hey, well, what if more come? And we had this entire conversation. We will be sure that when this is designed with our mechanical engineer, that we will likely wire an entire bank of spaces in the basement to accept car charging in the future. So there will be at least one when we start, but we will actually be wiring the building to handle the load, to have multiple vehicles able to be charged should that demand come up. So just because that came up before, we're going to have at least one when we open the building, but we will be wired to have more so that the load is there and handled. We do have a gazebo back here. This gazebo does require 3 variances for setback and area. We are proposing it as a small sitting area out, sort of at the end of this green that's created by the fire lane. We just saw it as an asset for people to be able to have another place to gather. While we're talking about that, we will have a utilities conversation in terms of where will meters be in transformers. We have wall space meters. In my opinion, this, in my experience, always ends up being a conversation to make that particular utility company happy. But gas and electric meters will be along these walls inside, not facing out to First Street. Water meters will likely be in a water room in the basement. We will be sprinklered in this entire building, so there will be a large water control room likely in the basement. In terms of electrical transformer, depending upon the preferences of the utility, we may have a transformer that occurs near this gazebo and or in a room that needs to be created. Both of these scenarios are possible. It's what ends up being worked out with the utility when it becomes time that they will, they'll tell us what they want. But we do have room for it to be outside in this area or within, I guess, a piece of what would be the commercial. All right, so now that I've spent a whole bunch of time pointing at plans you guys have already seen, I'm going to share what I think we're on to A4.
A4 is next, sir.
Okay. So, did that work? Do you see the elevation?
Not
Negative.
currently. You may need to stop sharing and share again. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've learned over time. Okay. So I have a number of 3-dimensional renderings that have been prepared of the building.
Okay, and the board attorney is going to ask that you give a name to each of these. This is A4, but you got to give it a little pithy name for us.
Well, A4 will be noted as elevation perspective.
Elevation perspective. Thank you.
So this
I'm not going to interrupt you unless you don't give us a name going forward.
Feel free to interrupt me, Rick, but what we have here is, what I would call a bird's eye view or an elevated view in perspective of the proposed building. You can see that we've carried the architectural character that we have always proposed that we think is important, that is called out in your ordinance through this entire building. We're going to look at a number of other images as well. But what we see here is our retail level active, and then our upper levels with a, I call it a queue line or a soffit line at the 3rd story. And then much of those duplex unit, much of that duplex unit living is up here. So that 3rd residential floor is here, and the duplexes are, the 2nd floor of the duplexes are hidden back there. As I said, this is a great opportunity. The height that is required in your ordinance, or the way it's calculated, is to be from the average grade along the front of the building to the midpoint of the roof. And that is something that, again, we have gone through in great detail what that point is. We have a sloped gambrel style roof here, and we do have a grade change along South Avenue. This elevation, being the front, does require a variance of 49 feet where 45 foot is permitted. We are also proposing 4.5 stories where 3.5 is permitted. So looking at this elevation, I just want to be clear, this is the elevation that requires the variance of 49 feet where 45 feet is required. We also require a variance because the ground floor level is supposed to be 15 feet according to your ordinance. We, because of that same grade change, and to keep the residential levels flat as well as keep the commercial cascading down the grade, we have a 13-foot ceiling for this left portion, or a 13-foot floor for this left portion where 15 foot is required. And we go well over it by the time we get to the other end of the building to the west. Just for conversation, if we were to lift this to be 15, it just makes this that much higher. Realizing that there is a approximately 6 foot change or 6.5 foot change, that makes a very high ceiling for the other side. So we are requesting a variance to have a 13-foot floor on the ground floor on this side, just adjacent to this tower form on the corner. As you can see, and I do have, this is unique to the COVID era. I have product links, which again, when I'm done, if the board would like to see them, I have links to the websites of all the products that we're proposing for finish. We have an architectural shingle of 2 styles, architectural tab or the slate tab. We have PVC trim. We have hardy plank style cementitious siding, metal roof. I have samples sitting here in front of me, which I know none of you can fully appreciate. If you want, I can hold them up, or I have them, again, I have links to their websites, certainly happy to share. As you can see, we have a mixture of siding patterns. We are limited to using 4 colors. As you can see, we've chosen to go to what I would call a classic black and white or tones of black and white throughout the entire elevation. We have 2 different siding colors, a darker roof, black standing seam, white trim, black window trim, and black railings. Again, it's a building we're pretty excited about. I think we've really brought architecture that I think is appropriate, and we're going to see other images in a second.
Rob, so that I could learn something, what is a gambrel roof?
A gambrel roof is, most people think of it as a barn. It has a break in it. So a gable roof goes straight. A gambrel roof has a little bit of a kick in it. That's a barn roof, for the most part, when you look at a barn, is a gambrel. So you have a peak here, a break line here, and a steep line here. It's still considered a sloped roof. Believe me, we spent a lot of time being sure that through the ordinance, this is compliant. What really ended up coming down, these towers were higher, and they had occupied space in the towers. that was specifically prohibited, still is specifically prohibited. These are occupied on this floor, and the midpoint of this sloped roof is at or less than that maximum 49. So where the towers were in violation before, we went through a lot to be sure. There is no living space above this tower. There is no living space in this tower above this floor. I can confidently tell you as a professional, this is the most time I've spent to be sure we are compliant with the calculation through the ordinance in great detail. And I also will note, because you brought it up earlier, along First Street, this is a corner, right? So the ordinance says that you calculate the height of a building along the front. Well, along First Street, if you considered it a front, we are compliant at 45 feet. So when you calculate the height exclusively on First Street, taking the mean grade to the midpoint of the roof, it is 45 feet, which is what the ordinance permits. It is because of, and I'll, when I do my planning discussion later, it is because of this grade change that exists today, that this facade, because the average grade drops, requires that 49 foot, requires the 4 foot variation. Again, for the record, and I'll do this as a planner later, that is less than 10%, maintaining jurisdiction for this board. It is a C variance that we are requesting. I'm gonna try to jump to my next exhibit without stopping share, but you tell me.
Okay, this is gonna be A5 and you gotta give it a name.
All right, this is not working. I see I'm getting warned, so we're gonna stop. Okay. This is A5, and we will name this corner shot. That's what it is. This is as you're coming along South Avenue, turning into First Street. We have this beautiful tower. This is what we're seeing here, is that we have that commercial frontage on South Avenue, and then we go to a brick finish with the entries along the First Street side, going back towards the existing residence. You can see that the architecture carries, the material carries throughout. All sides of this building have the materials that we're proposing. The brick, the siding, the trim, the roofing, the metal, all of this detailing, it doesn't stop, and I'm sure you saw that in the filed plans. It doesn't stop as we go around, it's maintained. So here we have a view looking, again, at the corner. You can see where we show vehicles turning in and out of the vehicle entries off of First, and again, that street frontage. We do intend to be sure that we make your, and I know Mr. Chanel is going to speak to landscaping, but there was a comment in your planner's letter to be sure that these pieces of street furniture, benches, pots, planters, make this a lively frontage. So we will be sure that we're showing them now, but we'll make sure that we are adding enough to be sure that she is satisfied with the amount that is put up along this frontage as well as on First Street.
Rob, I think someone had asked the width of the sidewalk there. Did you calculate that, or maybe Dan had done that?
You're pushing me to an answer I don't have, so I'll leave that to Dan.
Okay.
I stopped again. We're going to go on to, I guess, A6. Why is it not allowing me? Bear with me. I apologize. This is not letting me do what I want to do. There we go. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, excuse me. I'm just taking this opportunity. A6, we're going to call retail level vignette, just showing us what I think is the intent of this zone, which is to carry that life of mixed use. The CCC zone, to me, this is what it is. You have a lively ground floor. You can see the detail of the architecture of the residential above, signage, street life. These are the planters I'm speaking of that we want to make sure your professionals are happy with. I kind of love that the renderer chose to put a mailbox right in front here, but I'm not quite sure that's where your post office is going to want a mailbox, but certainly it shows the scale in life that we intend to have all along the South Avenue frontage. I'm going to get yelled at by my computer again. Okay. We've taken some time to really look at this building in context. And as a planner, I'll be sharing more of that context conversation. But if we could mark, this is A7 now, Rick?
Correct.
We'll call this across the street perspective.
Okay.
You said give it nifty names, so you got one.
No.
So this is across South Avenue, I believe, standing further down in what I think is called the Chelsea. Looking towards the proposed structure, seeing the existing Chelsea on the right, this the green mixed-use building on the left, which really has these very steep Victorian peaks. Seeing the elite building in the distance. Excuse me. Again, while we do require a height variance for this frontage, I would certainly offer, just as a designer, that this is very contextual with the structures that are next to it. Across from it and near it is certainly a continuation in establishing what I think the zone envisions. But I wanted to offer this image just to show that context of the buildings across the street. I just will note, and again, not to get too far into my planning testimony, we did set our gutter line where the slope roof goes back at the 3rd floor. The Chelsea across the street and the Elite as well, they have that happening at the 4th. So it does bring down the overall scale of the building facade.
Rob, can you show on this perspective those duplex units that go down a floor on First Street to the softening? You're right there, a little bit, yeah, right in that area.
Right here. So thank you for that, Rick. So you can see that this side of the building, and I can bring up my elevations if the board would like, but you can see that this roof has gone down a full story, because for the first, I believe about 22 feet of this facade, we've reduced it by 1 floor to, again, try to lessen that impact on height. While again, this facade, in my opinion, is at permitted height in feet, we did still try to bring that down a bit. That's where we did see some of our unit reduction. We took advantage of it there. Okay, it's going to yell at me again. Forgive me for my cumbersome zooming. Okay, this will be A8. A8 we'll call it interior court perspective. This is to show that there will be private and separated little amenity outdoor space, showing that we have a gathering area for outside spaces available to the tenants of this building. This here in the distance is the wall to our exercise room, as well as the entrance back into our lobby. You can see the parking there to the left. So this is just showing, you know, as an architect, not all of my clients build to the level that this one does. And I have to say that the Station Square project came out quite awesome, and I expect nothing less when this one is built, hopefully. And this is just to show the level of quality and amenity that they want to bring to the life that's going to be created for the tenants of this building. This is, again, something that's more and more important, all things considered, with the way people are moving into apartments, moving away from cities and into buildings that are amenitized. So this is certainly another part of that. Okay, I'm going to share 2 additional images. We are on what, Rick?
9 is next.
9. A9 is alternate elevation perspective. Why do I call this alternate? Because if you look at the right side, and when I show the next image, since our filing, you know, my client is always looking to improve what we're proposing. We are proposing clipping of a couple of these tower forms, which you can see here and here, to vary the repetition that might have been perceived. We've also clipped this corner, the western corner, to make, you know, to possibly make this turn towards that side of the building more friendly. So I offer to the board, this is not on the filed architecture. It does not change the unit count or change the units substantially. It just isn't, we're offering it as, and we'd like the board to consider that, you know, if you like it, we would modify the drawings to, again, clip these 2 towers and cut off this corner of this building. And I'm going to show you one more perspective to help that along. So right now, this is a straight corner. It comes to a point. So this alternative that we've been
I'm
developing,
sorry, Rob, you got to give it a name.
alternative western perspective. This is what exhibit, Rick?
10.
A10. So alternative western perspective takes that acute point and chops it to become a low tower form, not challenging the height in any way, not creating space where it shouldn't be. In fact, it's cutting off a little corner of the commercial and trying to make this bend of the building a little more friendly. This is not what was filed. I'm offering it to the board that if you like this better, we would happily clean up our plans to show this. If I may go back.
I'm going to be requesting a bonus from my client for my extra counting skills tonight.
I just went back to this corner shot. I want to be sure that we, you know, I cover, I'm just about finished with my architectural testimony. So I want to be sure I've covered, and I'll certainly be happy to answer any questions. Again, we are seeking a height variance for the height along south as well as the ground floor height. We are seeking a variance for the amount of parking. 102 parking spaces are required. We are proposing 90. We are possibly seeking a variance for bikes, looking to the board's discretion as to whether or not you'd like us to add in the compliant 60 or stay with what we have. We are, I believe, compliant with the architectural intention, colors, materials, character. Again, looking forward to working with your professionals for the street furniture. And Mr. Chairman, I do believe that is the extent of my affirmative testimony.
Rob, the ambulance squad, I had mentioned that. You believe we've satisfied its concerns?
Yeah, so he and I actually corresponded. His concerns were about would there be a stretcher capable elevator, full stretcher capable elevator. Both elevators we're proposing are fully stretcher accessible. There was a question about the communication within the structure. We agreed to put in whatever electronic boosters or communication systems that assist them with their them being able to do their job. I did receive a response back that we satisfied his concerns about his safe ability to come in and out of this building and communicate.
And Chairman, that concludes our testimony on the architectural side. We appreciate everyone's patience in letting us run through that.
Great. I guess my question is, you mentioned that both your site engineer and your traffic engineer were going to have additional testimony. Do you expect it to be lengthy testimony or just?
I don't.
I'm
I'm sorry, maybe Rick, you should answer that, but I think they were going to do brush up stuff.
Yeah, I'd say 10 for the engineer and maybe 5 for traffic. In terms of order of magnitude.
Because just given how long it goes to go through all the members and the public for questions, I would probably make the recommendation that we hear those two updates now, and then include all 3 experts in the questions and commentary.
We're agreeable to that. I think that makes a lot of sense.
And then we'll see where we're at, and we can see if we can get through the planning testimony as well.
Okay, that'd be great, and I'm gonna suggest to my witnesses, to go relatively quickly on the things we've covered as well. So.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so Chairman, with that, we're gonna recall Dan Chenal.
Okay, and for the record, we did recognize him last time as an expert in civil. I believe it was civil engineering or
civil engineering, and.
Yeah.
Dan, you understand you're still under oath?
Yes, I do.
And thank you, Diane. And Dan, you haven't lost your license since the last hearing?
I have not. Still in good standing.
You haven't been disbarred or anything like that? Okay. Dan, I'm going to let you run through. We have our outline to sort of cover the points. Please be cognizant of what we've repeated a few times here.
Absolutely. I just want to thank the chairman, members of the board, for taking the time.
We're having a bit of difficulty with your sound.
Oh, hold on, let me.
That fixed it, whatever you did.
Usually if I mute and then unmute, it usually works out. Am I doing well so far?
That's good.
So again, thank you for your time this evening. I will take a moment to share my screen to bring the site plan rendering back up. Just give me a nod if make sure you can see that.
Okay, and this is the same rendering we saw earlier, so we're back to Exhibit A3.
That is correct. This is Exhibit A3. It is a colorized version of the updated site plan that we submitted prior to this hearing. So I will be super quick this evening. Just want to touch on a couple points and changes that we've made since we last appeared. Mr. Larson, our architect and planner, summarized it pretty well, but we did reduce the amount of units from 62 down to 58. The building footprint itself changed a little bit. So just for orientation purposes, again, north is to the top of the page, South Avenue is to the north of our building. The building is the kind of burnt orange color in the centerized portion of the site. So the building footprint did change a little bit. We have a rounded entrance near the northern corner at the intersection of First Street and South Avenue, whereas more it was it used to be a chamfered corner in that spot. So that building footprint changed a little bit. We also bumped out the basement to accommodate the 3 additional parking spaces, which I will touch on in a moment. Additionally, I just wanted to point out one item. We did remove the planter that was to the rear of the building. This rendering actually does not accurately reflect the site plan that was submitted. We had a drafting error where this planter that is to the south of the building wall still exists. However, on our site plan that was submitted, this planter was removed. So that shouldn't be showing up on our rendering. So the intent of removing that planter after many conversations with the fire official, we wanted to provide a full 23-foot wide clear space to the rear of the building. This is essentially to provide a nice 23-foot wide clear access way for a fire truck to be able to access the rear of this building. So we got rid of this planter, so we have 23 feet from the building all the way to the property line, which is adequate to get the Fanwood Scotch Plains ladder truck into the rear of the site. It would be able to swing in and still have enough room. You would essentially have 7 feet on either side of the fire truck in order for firefighters to maneuver around the truck, as well as extend the outriggers for the ladder truck in the event that they would need to extend that ladder.
And Dan, you believe you've satisfied their concerns in that regard, correct?
Yes, I do. I mean, we have also met with PSE&G on the site to review the power lines that exist on First Street, to discuss the potential to relocate those wires, and we will continue to do so in good faith to try our best to provide even additional access to the fire department, to this building. But the main intent that the fire department really wanted was the access to the rear of this site. And they actually the fire department did prepare an updated statement and submitted a new letter that basically says that they are satisfied with our plans and are content with the access to the rear of the building.
And Chairman, you read from a letter from the fire department, but there may be a later version to that where they made some additional comments indicating that they were satisfied. So we'll try to straighten that out. But if you recall, you read some stuff, but I have what appears to be a later version with some September 9 comments where they're indicating satisfaction.
Yeah, that is correct. And I do
wanted to make that clear.
Pull up if necessary.
Okay. And Rob, excuse me, Dan, the idea is we've satisfied, we believe, the fire department on the rear access. However, we're going to continue to work with PSE&G to deal with the overhead wires on First Street. If we're successful, though we're not sure we will be, but if we're successful, that would eliminate the need for the fire truck to come into the rear, correct?
That is my understanding, correct.
Okay.
Excuse me for a moment. I just wanted to point out that Mr. Scalera sent that letter today to me. And I did point out to him that the date was incorrect. He has since sent a corrected version that has October 28th on it. So.
Okay. So.
But it's the same text as what appears on the website right now.
That's why there was a little confusion perhaps there. But he did give an indication, Pat, right? That I believe,
I'm not aware of what you're referring to.
Okay.
Yeah, I do have a copy of that letter too that I if necessary. But going back to testimony, I also just wanted to touch on landscaping a little bit. So obviously we are providing this rear access to the building, 23 feet of clear space. And obviously that does result in a takeaway from a area that we could provide a substantial amount of buffer. However, along this southern property line, it's a little hard to see, but underneath my cursor, we are providing a row of evergreen plantings that will essentially follow the property line. These are what are known as a skyrocket juniper, which is very kind of similar to an arborvitae, but it is a rapidly growing, narrow, but tall evergreen planting. So at planting, they'll be about 6 feet in height, but they grow at a rate of about 12 inches a year. So ultimately, it will provide a nice buffer between our building and the residential use to the south, to one, shield the view from back to the building a little bit, to provide some privacy for the resident to the south, and also to further reduce any glare that may come from headlights in the parking area. As Mr. Larson mentioned in his testimony, we are providing a half wall that's going to be along the rear of this building in front of these parking spaces. That half wall essentially is going to knock out the majority of the headlights from vehicles parking in this area, but to even further mitigate any type of impact from light that may be glaring from this parking area, we are providing a nice dense row of evergreen plantings that's going to provide a year-round buffer between the properties. There's also an existing fence that is along this property line, which we plan to allow to remain to even enhance that buffer or screening a little bit more.
And of course, the owner is going to be responsible for maintaining that landscaping back there.
That is correct. They will be responsible to make sure it maintains in good shape and there's no dying plants or gaps within that little screening buffer that we're providing. We're also providing 7 proposed street trees along the front of our site, both First Street and South Avenue. Currently, there's 1 tree that exists near this fire department access. Unfortunately, in order to provide access, that tree is going to have to be removed, but it is starting to take a little bit of a beating from trimming to make sure that it's not touching those existing power lines. So we will be replacing that tree, but yes, we're losing 1 tree, but you're gaining essentially 6 additional trees along the frontage. And these will be trees that are meant to be along a frontage that won't interfere with any existing power lines along South Avenue or First Avenue if we were unable to relocate any. We're providing some landscaping within the courtyard area, within the centralized portion of the site, as well as various planters and benches and amenities along the South Avenue frontage, as Mr. Larson touched on. So we will essentially we will be enhancing the landscaping, providing some softening effects with the landscaping along the building foundations as much as we can. And I feel that our applicant will make sure that this landscaping is maintained in a healthy condition. I know there was a question that came up earlier about the sidewalk width along South Avenue. And as you can see, the most narrow point is 16.5 feet along this frontage. So it's a nice wide sidewalk that can accommodate a fair amount of amenity space, benches, planters, and whatnot along the South Avenue frontage. Just quickly, I want to switch over to our parking allocation exhibit. Rick, I apologize, but what number exhibit are we up to at this point?
This is rendered, so this is going to be a new one. This is going to be A11, right? Since this is colorized.
11.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is A11. This is identified as the parking allocation exhibit. And essentially what we did is we took the main retail level plan from Mr. Larson's plan set, as well as the basement level plan, and just provided some color to really give a understanding of the parking situation. So starting with the main level, you'll see this shaded portion along First Ave. This is going to be designated as the retail parking area. We're providing, I believe, 16 parking spaces within the retail area, 2-way circulation throughout. And these spaces are just going to be for the retail use, as well as potentially using one of the spaces as a 5-minute parking only for like an Uber or DoorDash or a ShopRite from home delivery, just so these small delivery vehicles have an opportunity to park real quick, either drop off goods or pick up a person if it's Uber. And that will be separated by this tenant parking gate that Mr. Larson mentioned earlier.
Just for the record, I counted 17.
I'm sorry, 17 parking spaces. So there is a gate that is between these 17 parking spaces designated for the retail spaces. And this tenant parking space gate will be operated by a key fob that is provided to the residents, as well as the employees for the building itself and the retail area. So you'll see that there are 8 parking spaces directly to the west of this gate. These parking spaces will be designated for the employees of the building and employees of the retail spaces themselves. So they'll have adequate parking for their use. And then you'll see the blue shaded parking spaces. There is 8 on this first level, and this is where the designated residential parking spaces will begin. So if a resident comes and rents a apartment and they want a parking space as well, a parking space will be designated to them or assigned to them. You'll have 8 on this level. And then moving down to the basement level, you'll have, I believe it is 57 additional parking spaces in the basement for resident parking. As I mentioned earlier, or as Mr. Larson mentioned earlier, we did provide a opportunity to find 3 additional parking spaces in the basement, and those parking spaces are identified as 57, 56, and 55 in this corner here, whereas previously this wall came in a little bit closer. But we were able to bump that wall out, gain 3 additional parking spaces, and go from 87 now up to 90. So just wanted to go back and circulate about the parking. So Unless I missed anything, Mr. Skolnick, that was my testimony for this evening, providing some updates. But when the time comes, be more than happy to answer any questions that the board or members of the public may have.
Couple little cleanup matters. There was a question, I believe, from the board's engineer for confirmation that the stormwater drainage ends up in the same place. Were you able to take a look at that?
That is correct. Yes, the stormwater will end up in the same place. Portion of it drains out to South Avenue. The majority of the site will connect to the existing drainage system within Martin Ave, but they both end up in the same location. So we are not bifurcating our stormwater flows. They ultimately end up in the same spot. And we are looking to confirm that with some formal mapping from the county, which we haven't obtained yet, but just from visual evidence and field investigation, we have confirmed that.
Okay, and there was a comment that there may be a moratorium on road openings down near South and Martin. Did you research that issue?
We looked into the moratorium on South or Martin. When we spoke with the county, they weren't aware of a moratorium, but it's important to note that there is an existing stormwater inlet near the corner of this retail building to the south of our site, and we plan to tie into the back of that inlet from the site side. So essentially there would be no disturbance in Martin Avenue, even if there were a moratorium in place.
Okay, and there was a question about water pressure. We went out and did some water flow tests, I believe.
That is correct. We did have a flow test performed for both the mains within South Avenue and in First Street, both of which showed adequate capacity to support the residential or mixed use of this building in nature.
Okay, and finally, we had a lot of discussions with the applicant, and I'm reiterating what Mr. Larson raised. There is a commitment to work with staff on the details of the planters and the screeners, planters and the screening. That's correct?
That is correct. We'll continue to do so.
Okay, and I think that covers it.
Excellent. Thank you.
I think I brought him in 10 minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, nope, that was good.
Okay.
And then I guess you were gonna go to
We're going to go back to Mr. Steiger.
Steiger, yeah.
Our traffic expert. He might be about the same.
Okay.
Hey, Joe, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Okay, I see you. Thank you. Joe, you understand you're still under oath
Correct.
as well, and you haven't lost any of your licenses since August, I hope.
No.
Okay, so Joe, there were a couple of questions I'd like to run through first from our notes. Maybe Dan can bring back up. There was a question on how do we avoid overnight parking in that retail area, and we talked about that with our team. What's your response there?
Yeah, that is going to be managed obviously by property management. We do have a parking management plan, at least an initial one, that we feel is going to work, where we're going to allocate spaces for the retail uses, the retail and as well as residential guests. Those are the 17 spaces that will be as you immediately come in. Correct, the pink spaces that you see in the parking diagram. The green will be for employees that will have a key management, let's say retail management employees that will have a key fob that will get them through the yellow gate, just like the residents will have, that will park in the blue spaces as well as in the upper level parking as well, or basement level, I should say, basement level. So to avoid people sneaking into the retail spaces, there'll be residents, if they are disallowed to park there, property management will monitor it. If it's an issue with the retail people, they're going to complain to the management that there's cars in our lot that are parking there overnight. So it's an easy thing to manage. If it's a problem, there'll be complainers. They'll know what the rules are, and property management will be able to deal with it.
So a management issue. Okay. There were a number of questions raised about parking on First Street. We have good news. in that we pick up a parking spot on First Street, and then there is an issue if we cannot work things out with PSE&G, we would have to lose 2 spaces on First Street for a net loss of 1. Can you talk about that? And that's with the fire truck's ability to maneuver into the back if we ultimately can't work it out with PSE&G, despite everybody's best efforts.
Yes, we heard from the residents last hearing, and being cognizant of what the potential problems are with parking on First Street, our firm took parking surveys along First Street. There are 18 spaces, curbside spaces, currently along First Street. You can see our 2 driveways that are proposed on this diagram. Right now, there is a very elongated parking lot from the South Avenue intersection along the existing building. And cars back out, they have to back out from that, from those parking spaces closest to the intersection onto First Street. We're going to be closing that driveway for the most part, and in so doing, we pick up at least 1 space and possibly 2 spaces. We're eliminating the backup, which I think is a safety concern onto First Street. Anybody coming around that corner of making a right turn from South Avenue onto First, going to be blindsided with people backing out of those spaces. So that's totally eliminated. The other aspect is if we lose 2 spaces from the fire engine movement, we at least pick 1 to compensate for it. I think there's possibly 2 as well, depending upon how people park. But let's say for conservatively, there'll only be loss of 1. But during the parking surveys that we took during the midday on First Street, we found that there are 18 total spaces on First, and there was a minimum of 8 vacant spaces at any time along First Street. So there is sufficient available street parking on First Street to accommodate that 1 possible loss of 1 space. We have sufficient parking. I am totally convinced that our parking plan will be more than sufficient for the type of uses that we're proposing. The residential uses, we now have a lesser number. We've gone down to 58 from 62, so we're losing 4, but not losing any spaces. And as you heard, we picked up spaces. We're up to at least 90 parking spaces in the lot. So less units, more parking on site. We have a retail use and a residential use, which has very compatible shared parking arrangements, as Fanwood recognizes in this immediate area as well. We know different types of uses peak at different times of the day, and certainly retail and residential are very compatible with one another. Again, I believe that we have more than sufficient parking on our site, that we will see either no overflow or very incidental overflow of parking anywhere.
And of course, our proximity to the train station, just to pick up on a point, from August.
Well, absolutely, all those attributes. You have a downtown transit village characteristic to this site, that people do not have to rely upon their privately owned vehicles to get anywhere, to commute, to go shopping, to go out to restaurants and so forth. So that is and that has been proven through studies at around train stations, that total reliance of privately owned vehicles to do those daily activities reduces the number of parking. For instance, perfect example, you have a couple that move into an apartment, and they both need 2 cars. They're moving to this site because of the close proximity to the train station and the attributes of that train station. So you're going to see many of the types of tenants here will choose not to have, I'll call it overabundance of cars, or let's say, for instance, a couple not having 2 cars, that they'll be able to survive with a single car, particularly with the interest of being able to commute via train to and from their jobs.
Okay, we really did cover the deliveries. There were questions about that, on how that might work, and we've touched on that with both witnesses. There was a question about the signage on no parking on South Street. That was a bit confusing, I believe you reported. Can you just talk about that?
Yeah, there's conflicting signs to a degree. There's signs along South Avenue, along our frontage, that say no stopping and standing. And then there's another sign along our frontage that says no parking when road is snow covered. So, which kind of, someone just looking at that sign would think, okay, well, there's no snow, I can park here. But there is a no stopping and standing sign. The shoulder there is a narrow shoulder, about 5 or 5.5 feet. So it physically can't fit a parking spaces without extending over into the live lane of South Avenue. So I think there's good reason that there's no parking along South Avenue for safety reasons.
Okay, and then I think one of the neighbors during the comments said that there's a new study from the Institute of Transportation Engineers that was post-pandemic. Did you go back and research that as well?
Yes, I did.
What did you find on that?
Yes, the ITE, Institute of Transportation Engineers, has a journal that comes out every month. And in so doing, they have research information. They had a very good article that I was not privy to until this came up in the August meeting. In the July journal, ITE journal, it did have an article about traffic studies and what to watch out for as you take traffic counts during this pandemic, realizing that they are not peak times and that they need to be adjusted. Luckily for this study, we took our traffic counts back in February, pre-pandemic, so we have normalized counts. What the ITE did recognize as well is that as we go through this whole process of our pandemic, we've all learned different means of transpiring our businesses to be able to work at home, to be able to telecommute like we're doing here tonight. Obviously, hopefully, when we do get out of this pandemic, we will revert to some of those old ways of doing things in person. But I think the fact that we've learned so much from how to do work by not physically being at specific locations is going to actually reduce the amount of people commuting to work, going to offices, and doing in-person things, so that you will actually see a reduction in peak hour volumes because of the flexibility that people will commute or work at home. You're going to see more of that in the future than you had in the pre-pandemic times. So what the ITE is saying is that if you're using pre-pandemic traffic counts in your study, you're probably very conservative because in the future, those volumes are more likely going to be significantly lower.
Okay, and our traffic counts showed excellent levels of service, correct?
Correct, yes.
Pre-pandemic.
Service, yes.
Right. Finally, Councilman Carter had raised an issue of the feasibility of using South Avenue, the state highway. Did you take a look at that issue and evaluate that?
Yes, we looked at that as well. Now, DOT has very stringent regulations and rules of what you can and can't do, and they do take a strict look at corner lots. They prefer that you don't put driveways on their state highways, that you put them on the side streets for obvious reasons, and those reasons primarily are the safety of access points of those driveways. So in this case, we're right on a corner. There are clearance requirements, not only to adjoining properties, but from traffic signals to our south, to the unsignalized intersection to our north. We have a very small window of where we can put a driveway. And I believe looking at some of the ordinance standards too, we may be in violation if we put a driveway on South Avenue. So we did take a look at that. We feel that based on the levels of service that we have, that we're not degrading the level of service of First Avenue and South Avenue, which is a good thing with our traffic with driveways only on First Avenue. But for safety reasons, we believe that and DOT would believe the same thing, that having it on First Street is a more safe operation than a driveway on South Avenue. And again, we would be very confined with where that driveway could be located on South Avenue.
Because you have the big, the big slope going downhill, as Mr. Larson testified, and also the pedestrian frontage as well. I think we had talked about that in our prep session a little bit, correct?
Correct. Yep. You have the turning lane coming down, left turning lane on South Avenue southbound, which extends across our property frontage. So you are not allowed to have a driveway in front of a turning lane. So again, all those constraints, the 100 feet distance from the intersections, as well as no driveway within the left turn lane of South Avenue, very, very tightly constrains the ability for a driveway.
Okay, and just to finish it up, I thought I was done, but you said there's no degradation. Obviously, there's an office building there now, and you had calculated the driveways at level of service A. That's
Correct.
on First Street with no degradation. Is that correct?
That's correct. And we took a look. We actually took traffic counts of the existing driveways and compared that to the projected volumes using the ITE rates for our proposed residential and commercial development. And when you compare to what the site generates now to what it would in the future is very minimal. The AM peak hour, there's an increase of 7 trips per hour during the peak hour. In the PM, there's only 1 trip increase. So again, it's very minimal increase in trip generation of existing site to proposed site. And when we make that projection of that additional traffic, there's no degradation in the levels of service at South Avenue and First Street, and our driveways work at very good levels of service, A and B.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Steiger.
Thank you.
Chairman, I may have run over a couple minutes, but wanted to be thorough and pick up some of those points.
Yep, I think that helps with hopefully answering some of the questions that are out there before getting to the questions. All right, so what I would recommend now is that we go through any questions that the board has for this testimony that we've heard tonight so far. And then we'll then go through also the public for what we've heard tonight and questions towards this testimony and the updates from the previous one from the public. And then should we have time, we'll make a decision at that point whether we think we have enough time to get through the planner plus his questions in the remaining time. Okay, so I'm gonna start with our 2 officials, starting with Ray. Any follow-up questions or updates for?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Were we talking to the traffic engineer, the engineer and the architect now? Is it open?
Yes, yes.
Mr. Sheenell and Mr. Steiger, thank you very much for your reports. I appreciate the clarifications regarding the parking and the traffic. And Mr. Larson, I had one question regarding the rendering. You offered an alternative shot, and you called one the view from the west, which angled the building.
Yes.
You have a shot from the west of the original design of the building. Did you just offer for the alternative? Was it just that one shot of the building on a little bit of an angle there?
That was A10 was the alternative western perspective.
Yes, if you bear with me just 1 second, I think I do. I apologize for this taking this time. Again, I'm not sure if there's, if you could just give me 1 minute, I'm gonna make sure I find the right one. I'm not sure if you want to ask another question. My computer's really giving me a little bit of an issue going through these.
Okay, I mean, I can wait. If there's another professional that has a comment, and if we could just revisit the architectural renderings, seeing the west side examples at a later time is fine.
I just found it.
John, can you, there we go.
Okay, I think I should be able to share this now. Okay, I see everybody again. Bear with me 1 second. There it is. Can we see?
Yep.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this is going to be A12, right?
This is the west view with the original design.
That's right. And you can see the gambrel has its end as well as that sharp point that's right in front of us.
Okay, and then it has all of the peaks. This rendering also present, as originally designed, has all the peaks.
Correct.
Now the next shot.
Okay, so that was A12. Just for the record, that's the original Western perspective.
Yeah, and just for reference, I think, Mr. Sullivan, you were speaking to this image.
Right, it's this one. Now, what was the now we lost some of the peaks on this along South Avenue, right?
Yeah, we clipped these guys and then we turned around and brought the gambrel shape back over here and made this tower so that this clips and we relieve some of that.
Okay. Did you lose any square footage of the retail space with the building offered on an angle?
Yes, but probably about 40 square feet.
Okay. Now going up that driveway, are you offering storefronts facing that driveway, or?
I think that's, these windows right here are going to be in our amenity space. There's a door here, and then we have shown storefront windows here. Because of any future development, I'd be happy to hear your opinion about that.
For me, it's hard to see, and maybe I need new glasses. But is that a walkway with a railing that goes up towards?
That's in place either way. That's in place either way because we have an accessible entrance and a door that, because there's such a grade change at this dip, come back up. That either way we have a an elevated ramp that goes all the way to the back stairwell.
Okay, but there's a grade change between the driveway on the west and your parcel.
Yes. So this is you can see here that this is an elevated wall.
Okay. I mean, both renderings look very nice. My concern is that the driveway there almost looks like it would be a one-way street. I'm wondering if you would get people off of Martin Avenue circling around, the China Moon building, let's call it, and coming in that way. It looks like a driveway or a little one-way street. I'm wondering if that would be utilized more for people cutting through.
This is on our property. So I don't know, this is like an existing drive situation. Our property
That's an
ends at
existing
this.
driveway. But when you offer the building on the angle, this is only my opinion, when you offer the building on the angle, I'm wondering if you would get people cutting across, coming in from Martine where the Hallmark store is and using that little alleyway as a road.
Again, this is, we offer it because we think it's pleasing and it kind of pulls around that inviting corner.
No, I
But-
think it's a very attractive look and it's a very inviting corner. I agree. But I appreciate you spending a few minutes to explain the two different renderings, and I appreciate the alternative plan as well. Thank you.
So, Mr. Sullivan, we're going to call that the Hallmark cut-through issue.
There you go.
The Hallmark cut-through issue. Our civil is taking a look at that as we speak, and we'll do our best to address it. But definitely a safety concern, duly noted.
Can I pose a quick question? Did I miss Exhibit A11?
Yes, it's called the parking allocation.
Thank you.
Rendered. It was colored.
Got it.
I don't know if we had a date on that, but it was the
That's
parking
okay. I just needed to get that clever name down. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Solnick, and thank you very much, Mr. Chair. That concludes my comments at this time.
Okay, thanks, Ray. Antonio, do you have any questions for the updated testimony and for the architect?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just want to talk a little bit about the trash again. So the hauler will not be entering the building with their vehicle. They're going to park outside in that 30-foot spot, it sounded like. And walk inside the building and carry the trash out.
The door is literally right there inside the opening, and they'll wheel it out. And so they will not pull in the building. They'll pull up directly adjacent to that driveway, wheel it out, put it in, and put it back in the room.
Okay.
So there will be no time. I think the key there is there's no time pulling it up the driveway from the back of the building. They'll be right there, so that we tried to shorten it and bring it to the further driveway so that it just happens quickly and it's not visually seen.
And then building management's going to just constantly take it from downstairs and bring it upstairs as needed.
As needed.
Okay. You mentioned the meters are going to go inside the garage along the First Street wall. Was that right? I guess
that's where we expect electric and gas will go. We don't want to put them on the front edge.
Right. Yeah. We don't want meters exposed to the roadway.
Is that me beeping?
I don't know.
I apologize if it is, but we will not, we have all that open parking area and lots of exposed wall to not have the issue of
Okay.
that side.
Has any thought gone into providing a generator for common spaces?
We have discussed it. We do not intend to have a generator. We don't, really have a place on site that we would want to put it. The building will egress without the need for a functioning elevator during a power outage. So we did discuss it, but we do not intend to have a generator.
Okay.
It's definitely you, just in case you're wondering.
Yeah, and of course, right now it decides this machine that I'm using. Oh, hey, it just stopped. Thank you.
There you go.
I think we spoke about this previously, but did we say that each spot is going to be numbered and assigned to a certain apartment, or is it first come, first serve once you get to the other side of that gate?
I think I'll take a swing at this. They will be assigned by unit.
Okay. I guess when construction plans are in the process of being prepared, I'll be working with Daniel to make sure that the fire truck access in the back of the site is rated for the fire truck
Yes, absolutely.
loading. Okay, good. Yeah, I just want to make sure the pavers that are being used can carry the load.
You got it.
Was there any discussion about providing an easement between the neighbor towards the Martine Avenue side? I guess that's the Hallmark site for the storm sewer?
Yes. Yes, yep, our property, the applicant has reached out to the owner and they will work with us throughout construction and we can provide the necessary easement.
Okay. That's more for protection for you guys.
Yes, absolutely.
And then I think we spoke about the retaining walls and their design when you get to that point with design plans.
Correct. We're also working with the adjacent owners on the wall situation.
Okay, and that's all I have. And I just want to say that the building looks really nice the way that it was proposed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Antonios. Jonty, do you have any questions for any of this? I know we're going to get to the planning side, but didn't know if you had anything for this part.
I do have some questions for the architect. First of all, the half wall on the rear side of the building where the parking is located, that half wall is, now that they testified that there will not be any concrete planters, is the half wall wide enough maybe to have some kind of vegetation over it or small plantings that will screen the cars further from the rear properties?
It is not wide enough to hold short of a window planter, it's only going to be 6 or 8 inches wide. So it's not, it'll act as a shield, but not be a place where you could plant.
Because as you testified, it's going to be about 30 inches, right?
Well, again, I would be happy to hear your comments to be 36 inches, to be 42 inches. We post 30, but we'd be happy to go a little higher.
If it is possible from a functional point of view to go a little higher, it would be beneficial for the residents on the rear properties. For the row of trees, they have, as you said, the planting height would be 6 feet. And then I don't know if there is a designated line that how wide that strip is going to be for planting of those trees and how it will be protected, because our ordinance requires that there should be some kind of a curb to protect that line for any damages in future. That I didn't, is there going to be any curbing or something like that to protect that strip?
So yeah, there was a couple questions there. The plants at the time of planting, they're about 5 feet in height, and then they will grow for the first couple of years about 12 inches a year. So they'll get some nice height with them. They're about 2 feet in width. We selected that type of plant because they grow fast, they're evergreen, they're narrow, and they're tall, which is beneficial in this situation. And currently there is no curb proposed separating the fire access from those plantings, but I'm sure we could provide almost like a little Belgian block landscape style wall just to provide some separation between the planting bed and the grass area.
That would be certainly helpful because block curb is definitely recommended by the ordinance. The entrance of the building seems well defined and articulated with the canopy. However, the street furniture and the landscaping as shown in the elevation and renderings seems very less compared to the size of the windows for retail. So if there is more greening or more plantings possible to add, that would be beneficial for the streetscape. And that's what the ordinance recommends that highly streetscape amenities added to the street. That's another recommendation I have. the size, I'm sorry. The architect showed two elevations, two renderings for the building. For the option, I understood that there is going to be a less tower height for the second alternative, which is in my opinion, a good option. However, the corner of the towers, so the corner of the buildings, where, as Ray also mentioned, that's going to be a little different than the first alternatives. I believe that the corner where the first tower at the intersection of South Avenue and First Street, it will be very different than the proposed on the other side. So in my opinion, it's going to be very different if the board goes with the second alternative. But certainly the lowering the height of the towers would be a good option. The mechanical equipment, I believe it is proposed on the 4th floor, if the architect can confirm that. Is that going to be screened in any ways?
So yes, there is actually, thank you for bringing that up. So as I said, each of the dwelling units has their own internal, but when there is a need for a few condensers, we have a spot above the elevators, which is an inset flat area that'll be completely screened. The elevations show a parapet wall. They're completely within the shape of the building and behind a screen wall.
Okay. These First Street elevation, the parking area where you see on the first, the ground floor, it appears to be almost without, I mean, there is possibly there is no possibility of windows in that section because it's the parking. Our ordinance recommends that there should be some kind of articulation for the wall that to avoid the blank look of the wall. I believe in one of the elevations or renderings you showed, the architect testified that there's going to be some kind of plantings there, either a foundation planting. If not, I recommend that based on the ordinance requirement, that the wall should be, it should give some kind of a differentiation in the building material or the window kind of a look that can be extruded from the building surface. I believe one of the elevation that was submitted does show window type of features, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, we show it's actually a change in the brick patterns where we do like an inset in the brick window. But, you know, again, we've also done that with like a metal work in a window area. So we'd be happy to continue to look at that with you and make sure that, you know, between what we're going to add in terms of on-street furniture and planting, and even though we do show like a relief in the brickwork, which can look very beautiful, obviously not where the garbage room is, but where there is opportunity for parking next to it, we could look at like a metal mesh or something in there to open it up even more. Oh, I lost you.
I can't hear Mr.
We lost John. John T, we lost. We didn't hear what you were saying after the comment.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so the last thing I was saying is if any kind of a wall treatment or window treatment can be given to that wall and you can submit the renderings, that would be helpful.
Okay.
And the last comment I had for the lighting, if I missed any part of the testimony, was there a testimony about the lighting level in the parking area that is not going to be 0-foot candle at any spot?
It will definitely not be, and the reason the site engineer did not show that is it's actually below my building. So any of the parking that it has building covering it is going to be with building lighting, and we will have, I believe it's anywhere from a 1/2 to a 1-foot candle, which is going to be focused on where the cars are, so that people can safely get in and out of their vehicles to recognize themselves as well as people around them.
Okay. And signage, the building has 4, one of the elevations shows 4 signage on the front and signage on the First Street side elevation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, those are going to be placed 1 foot above the sill level according to the ordinance standards.
Yes, the signage that's proposed on the architecture as well as shown in the renderings is intended to be in compliance with the ordinance. So if the 1 foot
In
is
term, in terms of the material and the style as well, right?
material location, and if I'm not mistaken, it's meant to be, as I think we've portrayed, integrated into the overall design of the building as well as the architecture. So
correct. Okay. And the roof, the last question I have is for the roof pitch. I know it's going to be gambrel roof. It's going to be 8:12 as a minimum, or greater than that pitch.
yes, for the beginning of it, yes. Again, a gambrel turns twice.
Yes.
So the upper portion, which is beyond, I don't have the number for you for the exact pitch of that, but the
For the first part of it, yes.
It's certainly above 8. I can get you that number.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you, John. All right, I'm now going to go through the board members to, if you have any questions from the testimony we've heard so far tonight of the 3 witnesses or experts. Michelle, starting with you.
In the common area, the green, the chairs, the outdoor area, the outdoor common area, is that accessible to the public or only to the residents? You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was looking to see if the site engineer was going to answer it, but it is open to the public. You know, that entire green area, there is no barrier to prevent the public from walking in there. Dan, I don't know if you've had any conversations with our client about that, but there is no barrier to someone coming into the fire lane.
Yeah, that is correct. No barrier there. And I'm not sure if she meant the amenity space in the centralized portion of the building, and the intent is that the amenity space there would essentially just be for the residents. But again, there's nothing to say it wouldn't stop a member from the public from sneaking their way through, but it's intended for the residents.
Yeah, that's what I meant, just that outdoor. And then the building height, what is it in relation to the next building over? I know we're talking about this slope, but is it the same size or does it end up being taller?
So when you say the next building over, there's
the nail salon, that direction, the eastern direction.
so that's a 3-story building, like 3 with lots of roof pitch above it. So you mean the green one with I call it the witch's hat, which is across First Street. It just has that awesome peak, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
So that's a 3-story, you know, line, and we actually have a 3-story line, but our building in terms of total height is taller, but that building there is about is a 3-story building with all that roof above. So
thank you.
Okay. Next in line, Kevin, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Amy, any questions?
No questions.
Dennis, any questions?
Yeah, just, I guess for Robert and Dan and Joe, it's a collective, but in the design of this property, which really looks great, just the one comment I'll make is I like the western elevation that's angled. I think it changes the mass and it softens that side of the building. But more to, if you look at a lot of the commercial development we have in downtown in terms of garbage pickup and deliveries, it's all on site. And I'm just want to understand your reasoning for not having something on this site.
yeah, I think we'll, as you addressed all 3 of us, I'll start, and perhaps my peers have an answer as well. This is less than 5,000 feet of retail. The users are going to be very, I expect very small. It's broken into even 2 pieces further down from there. My experience has been that those eventual neighborhood retail users are not going to experience large, certainly not semis or anything, but most of their needs and deliveries are handled by small vehicles, which can, again, because the parking area behind can accommodate vans, so any deliveries that come in vans can actually come into that retail parking area. There's a ramp that they could even bring their goods on a dolly up in there.
So Sharon, were you asking about garbage or all of?
Asking
Well, I'm
about,
talking about garbage, I'm talking about deliveries, I'm talking about people moving in and out, appliances, construction, if you have anything, a post-event of some kind. Where are you putting roll-offs? Where are you putting, service vehicles? I mean, my concern, I spoke with some of the residents, First Avenue becomes a de facto access lane and loading dock for this development. And it's not fair to impose on the neighborhood down the block. So that's it's more comment, but it's a question, because I think you've got a home run here, but you're missing a key component that's impacting the community.
Yeah, I think I can answer some of that, because some of that deals with, on those deliveries. A couple of the moving. Let me deal with that first. We know when a van will be coming, either to vacate an apartment or load up an apartment, and we'll know that in a week in advance, days in advance. That may indeed require a parking space in front of the building. We'll coordinate that with the police department. It'll be signed temporary, no parking during that time period. And again, I hear what you're saying about the parking situation on First Street, and we were very concerned about that. See if it was a concern, and it does load up on this end of First Street. If there's any parking that goes on the street, it's mainly, I'm not going to say isolated, but primarily towards the South Avenue. But there still are parking spaces that are available at all times of the day. And in fact, about half of the street is vacant during the day. And that's from surveys that we've taken recently, as well as if you just doing Google Earth, Street View. And I realize that that's just a random time period. But if you look on Google Earth, you'll see that the street is less than half full at any time during those time periods. And that falls in line with what we've seen on the street as well. So there is ability to coexist with the residents on First Street with the same activities that they have. I mean, they have deliveries, they have people stopping to drop off things and packages, and it's a temporary thing. And I believe that there's room on the street for us to coexist with that from that aspect. In terms of the garbage, I'm not sure I understand what your concern is. Are you saying bring the truck into?
I'm saying even though it's multifamily, it's multifamily residential and has commercial, but in essence, it's a commercial endeavor, this site, right?
Right.
Everyone else in town has their garbage on site. They're not picking it up at the curb at the street.
Okay.
And again, also to add, Joe, is that afternoon, that First Street is loaded up with buses waiting for the Goddard School pickup. So, to me, a new development shouldn't impact its surrounding neighborhood in that respect as it relates to that traffic. It's not fair. So that's my concern. That's my, the answer and my, my concern.
We appreciate that.
My question and concern.
We'll take another look. Of course, the multifamily use is permitted, but we understand the concern.
No, I mean, I'm not saying that, Richard. What I'm saying is it's a commercial establishment, no different if it was all retail, a commercial office. It's a for-profit endeavor that's going on there. No different than other businesses in downtown. And that's why I want to treat it that way and say, I don't want to slough off what is the activity on that site to the street, and the street becomes a de facto loading and staging area. I don't think that's right.
Well, the one aspect we will be looking at and providing as well is designating one of the spaces on the first level for, let's say, a 15-minute maximum, time period. So the Uber drivers, the Lyft drivers, the the grocery deliveries, whether it's Whole Foods or one of the ones that use an Uber type of private vehicle deliveries. We'll have that availability off the street. So we were able to get some of our vehicles off the street in that aspect. The larger vehicles, such as moving vans, like I said, they'll have to be accommodated on the street. There's no other way to do that, basically. But yeah, we're trying to minimize any impact on the street, certainly by what we can do.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a point of order here?
Yep.
I'm in favor of public participation, and that's how we do it. But I would respectfully request that the chat feature.
I was just waiting for Dennis's comment, and then I didn't want to type into the chat. You actually read my mind that the public is going to get their chance to talk, that the chat is not a place to put comments in or questions or anything, because we won't address them from the chat window. We don't use that because it causes too much chaos. So,
okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll just warn you, I can read your mind at all times. So just be very careful with what you're thinking tonight, okay? I have certain powers, so watch out for that.
That was it. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. We hear that concern. We've made efforts to try to address that to a degree, and we'll take a further look.
Jack, any questions?
Yes, I have a question. I was hoping you could just eliminate the trees on South because they're never going to really grow high, and maybe just add in flower beds or planter beds and maybe even public art along there, because there's no way they're going to grow. They're just going to, the power companies are going to kill them. Is that something that could be considered?
I think we're open to a condition of approval that we will work with the borough's designees on that. You've seen our commitment in all aspects, and we want to make it nice, and we don't want dead plants. So there's some nice options there, and I think we're open, and unless my client tells me otherwise, whether it's planters or street art or whatever, that might be appropriate.
The other thing, the sidewalk on First, where it gets to the driveways, are you planning on putting truncated domes there?
No, technically truncated domes are used for crossings of streets per ProAg code. You don't technically need them across driveways.
You don't technically need them, but we see them a lot in many cities, so people know as a blind pedestrian that they're coming across where there are cars coming and going. So I would recommend using it at this point. That's all my questions at this point.
And what is that called, Mr. Molnar?
They're truncated domes. It lets someone who's blind or low vision, knowing that they're crossing into an area where they could expect a car. They're not just on a primarily pedestrian area. And I like the new design better. Thanks.
Thanks, Jack. Mr. Maddie, any questions?
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I just want to say I do like the two options that were presented on the elevation options. I think they came back with some better options. I think they aesthetically match some of the larger developments we have in town. I guess just for me, some points that I had the last time, they're probably just in regard to life safety. I know they mentioned that they complied with the fire department comments, but I don't think that anyone really clarified whether or not they have resolved those comments. I think there was some discrepancies earlier in the testimony that they said they did, but we're not sure. Making sure they comply with the elevator stretcher. I didn't hear any talk on the site plan about any hydrant locations or any standpipe on the building. Again, just some life safety concerns, if someone can speak on that.
Yes, absolutely. Our Mr. Larson has mentioned that the elevators are sized properly to handle the required stretchers. The required standpipes will be provided. I'm looking at our site plan to see where the closest fire hydrant is. I believe there is one somewhere along our frontage. but you're required to have them, I believe, within 300 feet of the building. And I believe we meet that separation requirement. We did check into that. I'm not sure if I'm missing anything else that you mentioned.
The fire hydrant, maybe I can ask Pat. Mr. Matty, I have a communication. It is a little confusing. It appears to be dated September 9th from Mr. Scalera, the fire official. And he says, at this time, we have no objection to the project with all agreements above. And then above, he refers to, as for the fire access lane in the rear, I and Chief Picola are okay with a full 25-foot wide fire lane in the rear of the building. So I think that was misdated because the date of it is August 2006. And then there's a note added. So maybe Pat can help us, but I believe we have a communication that says they're satisfied.
Yeah. How was that transmitted to you?
Well, by my client.
Was it by email?
Yes.
Because we saw those. I don't know. I saw those. And I think
date right now, and I don't.
Liz.
Yeah, we have an email recently from the fire chief and Mr. Scalera saying the 20th, that I guess they met after the hearing, the last hearing, and there are emails. I think they're dated the 9th or so of October, indicating that they're
of October or of September?
October.
Emails. So there isn't an issue on this.
I mean,
23 feet
we have written confirmation that 23 feet access lane unencumbered is their minimum requirement. Yeah. So I can send those, or.
Yeah, if you want to, because I don't see that in my email. And the one that I got from Tom Scalera, I received the latest one where he updated the date, came this evening at 6 o'clock. So
I have something from John Picola, dated 10/19. That says a full 23 feet of usable space is needed. And that's what they met about. So I was consistent with my understanding of the way things were left.
I don't think they've all been distributed, but Mr. Matty, I believe we have satisfied them. And that's a very important point for us, obviously, because we know the board wants to make sure the fire department is happy. And we believe we've done that. And it was that fire lane was a significant driver in the entire design of the whole project. And as I said, we're committed, and there was a letter from the borough to continuing the conversations as well with PSE&G. And the purpose of that is to see if the wires can be moved. That would eliminate the need to use that rear 23-foot wide access. And we're committed to, in good faith, trying to resolve that issue, but we can't report that it's been done yet. So they still need the fire lane in the back. But they have indicated it's set. And can I confirm that with the town's professionals so we don't have any confusion on that?
I've just gone through all my emails. I don't see any such thing. I don't doubt it, but I have a feeling it skipped past me. So we'll have to just go back and see what Tom meant by sending this one today.
Yeah, I think on Pat, we need to get a copy of the submission that's being talked about, so that we have it for the record. But also, let's try and get some clarification why he resubmitted what seemed like the comments from before today.
Right.
Yeah, because just to clarify, there was an email on the 15th from Tom Scalera also responding to the applicant saying that 23 feet and continuing to pursue PSE&G was the plan.
And I see I'm not copied on any of those, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's way at the bottom. Pat, at the bottom of the letter that you sent today, at the way bottom, do you see where they provide the final? Oh, I think the confusion is happening because it's like a continuous running commentary.
Instead
And
of
their
the most
comments are
current
way
being
at
on the
bottom.
top, the most current is on the bottom.
Yeah, it's way at the bottom of your letter that you sent, that was sent today. Way at the bottom is where they say that they're,
Way at the bottom of the Fanwood Fire Protection.
yeah.
Note from Tom Scalera, dated August
Yes, way
206.
at the bottom. All the way at the end of the letter
Yeah.
where they say,
Have access road with width of minimum of 25 feet for the rear of the structure.
Yeah.
Plans are only showing 20 feet. That's the third to the last bullet.
It's not the right one.
not the last one.
Okay, so
Keep going. You have to keep
this
going
isn't
down, Pat.
productive.
Pat,
So
you have to
I
keep
don't-
going to the end, Pat.
That is, I read what was on the borough.
It's a 2-page document.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a resend of it dated today, but same text.
Pat, we don't doubt that. I think we're just missing something, and we're
Okay.
missing what I saw and others saw. So we just
Not
have to make sure it gets submitted, because I will represent that it said from the fire official that 23 feet were good to go.
Yes.
Totally acceptable.
Okay.
So I think we can
Move on.
from that point.
Yes. Adam, was there anything else?
Sorry for the confusion. No, I'm good. Hey,
Not
we
your
just want-
fault, not
we
your
just need
fault.
Yeah, we just want clarification. That's all. That's it. Bottom line. All right,
Yeah,
thank you.
I sort of had that same comment of we would need to make sure we had that confirmation in hand. All right, moving along. Teresa, any questions?
I just have a clarifying question. So the minimum height, I'm sorry, yeah, the minimum height, it's the far end. So that would be the east side, and that would be the because of the grade, that's the one with 11 feet. But by the time you hit the west side, yes, sorry, that's back up to the minimum, meets the minimum first story height for 15. Is that correct?
Just unmute. Yeah, so it's actually 13 feet is what the variances were asking. So at the corner on the eastern, what I'll call the high side of the corner, it's 13 feet. And as it moves west, it goes to 15 or in excess of that.
Okay, because it's just because of the way the grade of the road. Okay, I get it. All right, so it's the far one that's the shorter end. Okay, that was my only question. I just needed that clarification to understand that end. That's it. Thank you.
Great. Councilman Carter, any questions?
Sure. 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, 5 or 6. No, not really. As a resident and as a representative of the residents, I just want to commend, first of all, I'll make a quick comment and commend the entire Soho Landmark team for their efforts and diligence in bringing forth a project that addresses the concerns of many of the concerns, if not every one of the concerns of the residents. And I mean, it demonstrates your level of commitment, not just to, like some say you'll make money ultimately, but you also want to present a project here that is indicative of your commitment to the community as well. So we'll thank you there. And we also, we'll have you affirm, and I'm sure you will continue to work with the authorities and with the entities to continue with some of the other improvements and concerns that may have been already brought up or that you may see arise as you move forward with the project. So thank you again for that. Just a couple of quick things. It really looks good. We kind of agree that when you clip some of the towers on the First Street, on the South Avenue side in the corner, is there consideration now looking at the First Street side of clipping one of those towers, probably the one in the middle, to try and have some sort of consistency? Also, you have those 3 towers there, maybe you can clip the one in the middle. I don't know what that would do or not do to the project.
it would carry the treatment around. We'd be happy to, it'd probably be better actually to do that. If we're gonna do it on one, we should do it on the other.
Awesome. The 57 spaces below, there are 58 units. We're gonna have a lottery for those 57 spaces. That one individual is gonna be up top, I guess. Small thing, you don't even have to answer. Now, the transformer the transformer may be on the rear of the building. If there's a transformer needed.
Yes.
Isn't that the fire lane?
It is. You know, we have the gazebo at the end of it, which is further in. You know, I guess if need be, we could remove the gazebo and put it where we're showing that. You know, again, we wouldn't want to further impede the fire lane. I understand your concern. That's something that, you know, the gazebo is beyond where the fire truck would go, but if we needed to, we would put, if the transformer wants to be there, I think we'd be willing to remove the gazebo to put it where it wants to be.
All right, because you guys have gone through tremendous effort to meet the fire department's concerns, and then to back this back in later, you know, we don't want to have the issue with the fire department, have to revisit this whole situation again. So just to consider it.
We appreciate that, and I think it's something that, you know, we do not want to further go down the road of blocking what has been agreed. So if the transformer needs to go back there, we would remove the gazebo.
Okay, and then the parking spaces as they relate to the meters. If and when you move the meters, the utility meters on the inside, those meters look like they're now going to be in the parking spaces, and you need that frontage, 2-3 foot clearance depending on the meter in front of the meter. Now you're into the parking spaces. So you may want to consider, I know public service, as a licensed electrician, I know public service is the driving force in where you locate those meters, but you know, some real consideration is going to have to go into play there, some give and take, because you're in those parking spaces. You're going to lose those parking spaces then.
Yeah, we don't want to lose the parking. We do have some sidewalk areas where the bikes are, where the stairs are. Along the stair wall, there is an inset portion. So we would have to put meters where they have proper access and location. We have enough wall that is not next to a parking space.
Right.
So whatever we have to do, we're going to do that to not lose the parking, but get the meters in.
Right. And we understand the utilities drive where those meters are going to go. So.
And they change their mind job to job. So
that's for sure. So that's going to be it for me. And thank you guys again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Michael, let's see. Oh, tired.
Gets him every time.
Yep.
First of all, thank you for being so thorough with everything. I think you heard everything we were saying throughout the meetings, and you really responded to it. I guess I have a couple of just quick questions. One kind of piggybacks off of Jack's comment. Although I think we can put in species of trees that grow slowly that ultimately could get 10 to 15 years of growth, they will have to be trimmed. Whose responsibility that will be, I'm not sure, because it's in a right of way right now that's a state right of way. So if you do have trees there, who will have the maintenance responsibility? And that'd be my first question. The second is, if you do consider public art, could you do it as something that's bike parking and public art? Maybe that's where you can have that overflow bike parking. So it's actually accessible to the public to use the retail spaces. So I'll just let you respond to those questions first.
Yeah, so I can touch on the landscaping. So our landscape architect specifically chooses trees along street frontages that are intended to be low growing trees. So these are more ornamental style trees that are not shade trees that are going to grow in height. They're intended to be below power lines so they don't come into contact with them. But we will absolutely take the suggestion of potentially providing an alternate to trees, but still providing some greenery along the frontage. So absolutely. And adding a bike, you know, the more urban style bike parking locations that are kind of artsy along the frontage sounds like a good idea, and we can certainly add a couple.
Great. And I do concur with him about the truncated domes. It's something that that's done on the county levels. I know in several counties, crossing driveways, just so people who are blind, yeah, they have no idea it's a driveway, especially because we're keeping the raised elevation of the sidewalk, which is a good thing for visual perspective of the pedestrians going through there. I do like the second alternative of the 45-degree on the building around the corner. I do think it adds visual interest, but I don't want to get into comments. I want to mostly ask questions at this point. I do have a question for Joe as far as the parking on the frontage. While the striped lane is only maybe 5 foot in the shoulder, what's the total width of the lane from the center line to the curb?
Joe, you hear that?
I mean, that is 18 feet.
18 feet. So 18 feet would give you 11-foot travel lane, which is allowed, which is actually fine with AASHTO, and then a 7-foot parking lane, which under state statute, that line doesn't really mean anything. As long as you have enough legal passing room to get around a car fine, you can park unless there's a specific ordinance. So my follow-up question to that is that parking prohibited by local ordinance right now, or is that a state thing?
No, that's per local ordinance. The state may have mandated it, but the township or borough has to pass a local ordinance to enforce it. There are no stopping or standing signs there, Mike. There just happen to be no parking when road is snow covered. So it kind of conflicting in that sense, but I think the no stopping and standing, the regulatory sign dictates what you can.
Sure. So just because the width there could definitely allow it, especially since people aren't really supposed to be going too fast there. That could be some of our solution for, I do believe it could accommodate on-street parking. So maybe you could just look into what can be there, and maybe even having a loading zone in front of the building where it wouldn't affect the side street and is more with, you know, the commercial nature of really the thoroughfare of South Avenue, where you might have deliveries from Amazon or whatever, so on and so forth, even for the residents as those trucks are coming in. So,
that is a good idea. That is a good idea, and we'll definitely look into that.
Yeah, I know there's issues obviously because it's a state highway, but I wanted to ask those questions because it might alleviate some of the things that came up with the side street with the local residents.
Yeah, that could address some of Mr. Sherry's concerns.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think we can work with if the township could be a so-called co-sponsor to go to DOT and ask for that restriping, that would go a long way too. So we can work with the borough in that regard. Be a good.
Thank you.
Joe,
Yeah,
so the goal would be to have a loading zone at the front door. Yeah, it wouldn't be used all the time, but bring some of that traffic off of First.
Yeah, could be important, especially because some of that stuff takes a lot more than 15 minutes. You know, especially if it's a involved delivery, whether it's for the residents or for the businesses. That would be something to pursue.
Even if it's split it, if it was half, we'll absolutely take a look at that.
Okay, great. That's all I have.
Great, thanks, Michael. Mayor Marr, you're up. Any questions for the?
Hi, yes, just a couple. I do think you have to look back with the fire hydrant. I think that the fire chief at some point had asked to put one on site or somewhere around there. My real questions go back to the facade options. So I do like the overall look of the new building. And you have the tower on First, which, and I'm repeating because I want to make sure I understand this. So the tower on First meets the height requirement, correct?
So the tower on the corner of First meets the height requirement because a tower on the corner is specifically permitted in the zone to
Right.
go up 1 story.
Correct. And then as you came down to really the what would be the next level, that came down a level to 3 feet.
Rob,
I'm sorry.
you're the neighbor. I think the mayor was asking where there's only 3 stories.
3 stories. I'm sorry.
Okay.
3 stories. I don't have what you are. I don't have the rendering in front of me, so I'm kind of like flying a little here. And I don't know if you could maybe put that back up.
Yeah,
first.
Yeah, and that's Exhibit A7, across the street perspective,
Yes, please.
where we brought it down.
Because you're asking the board to kind of make some decisions on designs as part of the approval process. So I want to kind of just.
So this is Exhibit A7. Why don't you just.
So what we're looking at here and what I think we're discussing is this area of the building. And if needs be, I could go to my filed plans, but in terms of this proposal here is 4.5. This is 3.5, because we've taken 1 full floor down.
Right.
Which is actually in compliance. It's lower than the height in feet and in compliance with the required stories. So the adjacency to the existing home is 3.5 stories.
So could you go to the next one that shows sort of the front on view of the front of the building?
Sure. I'm just gonna stop this and go back.
And Rob, I think there was a suggestion and an agreement that it would be good to take some of the triangles off on the front side, on the First Street side as well.
And which I brought up this one with purpose because this is the clipped gable. And we would, I believe as the councilman mentioned, we would continue this treatment up first, but Mayor, I hope this is the image you're looking for.
Yes, it is. So when I'm looking straight at this building to the western corner, that is not the alternative western input into that, right? That's not it.
It actually is. What's happening.
Oh, that is. That is.
There's this, it's kind of a unique clip that has to happen because we're at this acute angle and it's been a challenge to kind of figure the roofs that are behind it, but this does reflect. It's hard to see in this perspective, but this cut right here is that angle happening.
Okay. Okay. I don't know what I did.
We can still hear you though. Oh, we could still hear you. Now you're muted.
I have no idea what just happened to me. So like literally can't tell you. I'm having technical problems here.
Your video.
Yeah, I don't know how to get it back. So
but we can hear you.
Okay, so I do think that actually answered my question of the perspective of what it would look like with the alternate western perspective from the front of the building on South Avenue. So I think I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, anything, so nothing else?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. So one thing just before, that's it for the planning board members' questions, but before getting to that, I think with what we were just going through with the mayor and knowing that at some point we're getting to have the discussion about a vote.
I didn't get to say.
Oh, sorry, John. It's because your Fanwood iPad. Sorry, John, you're up. Yes.
No, I am very annoyed at this whole process. Really, I really feel like how many parking spaces have they taken away from the residents? Oh, they want 7 more. But what about the ones that are on the street? They're not there anymore. Are they?
We're losing one parking space on First Street.
One parking space. Can you confirm that?
Can we
Yeah.
confirm it? Yes.
That's one if we can't resolve with PSE&G.
Correct. And then we'll gain one if we do. Currently, so there's understanding. Currently, that into all, I'm not going to say the whole frontage along First Street, but close to it is an existing driveway. Cars back out of parking spaces onto First Street. We're going to reduce it to 2 smaller driveways. So there's a net increase on our side of First Street that there will be 1 or 2 parking spaces added. If we don't work things out with PSE&G, we'll lose 2 parking spaces on the other side of First Street. So worst case, there's a net loss of 1. Best case, there's a gain of 2.
I'm not sure. I know
I
Pat
think
just
we
went.
lost.
Pat just went to check on John. Here she comes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we're good to move on, Pat?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to miss John. That was my bad. I've been watching the names. But what I was going to say is, if as the mayor was saying, and she didn't have the plans and stuff, if at least from an electronic perspective, we could get to Pat a copy of those renderings, so that when we do get to that point of that discussion, the board members have that they can look at on their own and be more familiar with the 2 different designs. Because I do think at some point there's going to be that decision-making process.
We will electronically leave you with the exhibits, within a day, hopefully tomorrow. We'll upload those and get those to you.
Okay. So now, all planning board questions have been addressed. Can I get a motion to open it to the public?
So
I'd like to make a motion to open the meeting to the public.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Same as the last application. I'm going to go one by one. I'll call out your name. I'm just going through the order I see you in my camera. Just like John did, if I miss you at the end, please speak up. I'll try and do my best to catch you all. I see a lot of cameras turning on, which is great. And I'm going to start with Yannick. You're first on the list.
Hi, so this is question and I guess
it's
like
mostly question for the what we've seen so far tonight.
Mostly question, so I can't give like a fuller kind of thing. This is like the last meeting that we had.
I do not think this is going to be the last meeting we have, because there's still a planner that has to testify, and we're at 10:30 already.
Okay, sure. Thank you. I just wanted a clarification.
Let me just check. Richard, do you seem to tend to agree with me?
I think that this questioning is going to go, a half an hour or whatever you decide is appropriate.
Yeah.
And we have 20 minutes, a half an hour testimony, and then additional round of questioning. So. And then
the board members have to go over everything and come up with the decisions. So that would take us probably past midnight. Okay. So there will be another opportunity for the public to have their comments.
And then the comments. Okay. I do actually have a question though. Mr. Steiger, just regarding, you know what, I actually have 2 questions. One regarding that space between the 2 garage doors. Unless I missed it, are there any changes from the length from the last meeting? Like, has that gotten any longer or any shorter, or is the size the same?
I believe the size is the same, but I think Dan Chanel can verify that better.
Yes, no change. It is approximately 30 feet in length.
30 feet in length. And I do have a second question, which I don't know if this would be the right time to ask, I guess. Regarding the moving vehicles, what I've noticed is that you've been very consistent in saying that the average moving vehicle would be like a large van or some other smaller vehicle in terms of moving day. Could you point me to a study, or could you point me in the direction of some source where I could see if there's the possibility of any larger vehicles that come in? As I mentioned in the chat, I'm sure that one doesn't rule out the idea of a long haul move, despite the fact that this is a small town in New Jersey. I would still imagine that there is a possibility for people with larger vehicles that would need to come in, I guess, lack of a better word. Thank you.
Well, I think the economics dictate what they're going to be moving in, and if you're going to use a larger vehicle that you're only going to fill up 1/4 of the way with your apartment furniture, it doesn't make too much economic sense to use that larger vehicle to move. So my experience, I don't have anything documentation of studies of people, but my experience in moving vans for smaller apartments are these people are of the nature that they're going to do it themselves. In many cases, they're going to borrow a van. They'll make numerous trips. Certainly, if it's across country, you're talking a different story. But again, it's going to be what you can fit in a truck. So my experience is it's always been smaller vehicles.
It's a 2-bedroom apartment. There's a couple of 3s, which are the affordables.
Right.
I do just have one more follow-up question, and this will be the last one. So in terms of the average, where do these new residents come from? Do they all come from Manhattan? Do they come from northern New Jersey? Where are they coming in from generally that would rule out some kind of a long-haul truck?
They're most likely young professionals. Probably this is their first home. They're probably moving from mom and dad's home, most part, or from college. They may be moving from other apartments, or maybe from inner cities. So you may have empty nesters as well. People scaled down from their single family home and moving into a small apartment. So I think it'll be a mix of things.
Just to repeat here, we have 23 1-bedrooms. These are the market rate, and 26 2-bedrooms. So half the units are 1-bedroom apartments. Another 32 collectively are 2-bedroom apartments, and there's 2 3-bedroom apartments.
And you can get it from the U-Haul. There's a U-Haul website that has recommendations, and they size their trucks, rental trucks, to studios, 1-bedrooms and 2-bedrooms, and the 2-bedrooms are 22 to 24 feet long. If that space, that 30-foot space that Dan had mentioned in between the parking spaces, was used for half a day to load it up or unload it, or a few hours, it fits perfect. If we can get something on State Street, as Mr. Liskatis had suggested, again, all the better. We can fit them there too.
South.
Fantastic. Thank you both so much. I really appreciate it.
Sure thing.
All right, moving along. Mr. Lau?
Hi there. Do I need to be sworn in? I think we did that last time. I don't know what, sorry.
Yeah, I think both of, if they've been sworn in before, Diane, should they be being sworn in again, or?
We're just reminding you that you should, still under oath.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks.
And Yannick had been sworn in. I remember her giving commentary last time also.
Cool. Well, thank you. And thank you to the applicant, because the new illustration looks really, really much cooler. So just had a couple of questions, and I'm not sure who specifically they would go to. I think Exhibit A7 was the only one that really had kind of a side view. So I couldn't tell on the plans, how far away is the actual building the back of the building from the house, across the fence.
So the distance from the physical building
Yeah.
to the adjacent residence
Mhm.
is approximately 33 feet.
Approximately 33 feet. Okay. And that since it's now a lower, one story lower. Sorry, it's hard for my brain to work at 10:30 at night. Since it's now one story lower, how tall is that section now?
I would
Back
defer.
section. So that back section that kind of faces that building, or that residence rather.
Rob, you have that, Rob?
I do, and I have it by my memory right now, and Mr. Lowe, I'd certainly be happy to give an accurate, a very specific number, but we've lost about 10 feet in height. So the height in feet is 45 feet, so that side would be about 35 feet to the midpoint of the sloped roof.
Got it. The only reason I ask is because it came up on one of the previous calls about the collapse zone, and the fire department not wanting to have that lane there because it would be in a collapse zone, and because Mrs. Dowling is a fantastic neighbor. My concern raised by that is her house now in the collapse zone? Is her house now part of the collapse zone? So I was hoping that with the decrease in size, that would make her space safer. So yeah, I would love to know if that's actually, if her house is still in a collapse zone. So my next question, I think it was for Mr. Sindel. Again, I apologize. I'm not sure where one person's job ends and where the next one starts. But you mentioned a water flow test that was conducted, and was that it was adequate for the space? That meant, you mean the Soho, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. We had our flow tests, and there is adequate pressure and capacity for a residential and commercial type use of this size.
Okay, so the test didn't necessarily look at what the effect would be for residents of First Street, because we have terrible water pressure. So that's why we've been asking if there are all these units, how it's going to affect us. So I didn't know if that test also looked at this.
Typical flow test, what they do is they open up one hydrant and they keep a pressure gauge on another hydrant. And so when that hydrant is opened up at full capacity, they continue to measure the pressure at that closed hydrant. And that closed hydrant had a pressure that is capable of supporting a use of this nature.
So at that space. So, okay. All right. So I guess I'll work with Mr. Popolopoulos to try and get more information as to how that might affect our water pressure.
You can reach out to us because we're gonna.
Yeah, we've struggled. Yeah.
We'll be in the same boat. So if there's
we've struggled with that on this street for years. So,
and we're going to have to design or the MEP ultimately is going to have to design a sprinkler system that is compliant with the applicable fire codes, which have required pressures for these systems, and they will have to make sure they're either using booster pumps or tie it into the main on South Avenue. As I mentioned in the testimony, yes, we currently propose to tie it to First Street just to make it easier as a permitting aspect, but there is the ability to tie into South Avenue as well. So we'll make sure that we comply with the required codes.
Cool. So we'll continue to hopefully get updates, because yeah, I would hate to lose even more water pressure. So last question is just something that it wasn't captured in the minutes of the 26th. It was mentioned briefly tonight, but I just wanted to circle back on for the traffic study. One of the questions that came up in August was the fleet of school buses that uses First Street twice a day, back when school was in regularly and there wasn't flex schools. It was very confusing in the traffic study as to how that was captured, if they were captured as trucks or if they were captured as cars. It was very confusing as if they were captured at all.
Well, they were captured as a vehicle. So if you look at the existing volumes of First Street, they all vehicles. So they would have been in there. Typically, if they're large, 40 passenger buses, which I don't believe they were, I have to take our notes. We would include them as a heavy vehicle. If they were I'll call them minivans, the little sprints, then they would have been like a passenger car.
Okay, yeah, I was looking at the appendix and looking at the breakouts, and it didn't seem to be very clear as to what those would have been cars, because the numbers didn't seem to add up. So as you remember, like there was a lot of questioning last time by residents as to the fiduciary standard that was part of that study. So that's why I just wanted to circle back on that piece, because I don't think it got addressed in the minutes of last time. So thank you.
I'm looking at my appendix. Appendix B has the breakdown of all the traffic counts of all the movements at the intersection of South and First Street, and we do have a % of cars, % of trucks, and that's how we differentiate what a truck is versus what a single is. The size of the vehicle. Technically, if the way that a heavy vehicle or a truck is counted in terms of traffic counts, if it has 6 tires on the road. So a 2-axle vehicle with 2 tires on each axle would be considered a passenger car. If there were 6 tires, let's say 4 in the back rear axle, then it would have been included as a truck.
So in this case, it might be part of the 37 trucks.
Yes, correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's it. That was my last question. Thanks.
Thanks. Next, Alice Metachak. Sorry if I'm saying the name wrong. I saw the camera turn on briefly before. I do believe she needs to be sworn in, Diane.
Yes, I do.
Sorry?
Raise your left hand, your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Just a quick question about the garbage compactor and just how noisy that's going to be, and if there's been any sort of studies on the noise effects of something like that in the building. Thank you.
Okay, I think I can answer that one. The compactor is it's a small device, and it's handling residential garbage bags. It also happens to be below grade within a concrete foundation, so the likelihood of any sound at all coming out of that room, it's not running all the time. It's not running like on a big smash like you would on a commercial application. It reaches a certain number of bags, and then it smushes it down until the next set of bags comes. When that particular box fills up, a light comes on for the super to move that one out. So it's not constantly operating. In this case, it happens to be below grade. I'm very comfortable saying there will be no outward expression of noise from the garbage compactor.
Okay, that's it right now. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Just checking. Liz Jeffrey, I'm assuming no comments. Okay, great. Warren Matachak.
Warren Matachak, how you doing?
Good, good. Do you need to be sworn in, Diane?
No, I was sworn in last time.
Okay, so you're still under oath.
You're still under oath. First off, I'd just like to start by saying if I could give Dennis Sherry a bear hug right now, I would. Because I think he's one of the few people that is verbalizing really what our concerns are on the street. But specifically, I'll start with questions for the architect, Robert Larson. If you could pull up the illustration of what we call the corner, you had it up before.
I think that is exhibit A7, what we call across the street perspective.
No, it was the one that showed the street across the street from that as well. It was the further back from the Chelsea illustration.
Okay, let me,
That was 7A or yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, what stands out to me in this illustration is, first off, the lack of overhead power wires, which would imply that you guys have already made a deal with PSE&G to bury them, I guess, all around the block. Or is it customary just to leave out things that don't make the illustrations look very good? I'm just wondering.
well, I don't know about customary, but I would tell you that this is meant to be an artistic representation of the proposal. It is in no way, we did not include the wires. We have not made a deal with PSE&G. There's almost definitely other street elements and minor elements of the context that are not included. So if I portrayed that this was to be a complete 100% representation, it is not. This is an artistic rendering of the proposed building with some reference around.
Right, so not realistic, but a rendering.
We understood it to be a rendering.
Right, okay. I'd also like to point out that the green building is Font Plaza, which is directly across the street from Soho at Fanwood Station. That building has 12 units in it and a retail component underneath on basically a similar size lot. What you guys are proposing is about 5 times the size of that in terms of units. And what's also missing from the illustration, and this is for the traffic and parking expert, is the line of cars that backs up past First Street all the way to Martine, and the line of cars trying to get into the Fanwood post office. So we're done with that. Could we move to the illustration that we didn't show earlier, which is where the kids are playing soccer in the fire lane?
We don't have that one, sir, because
Okay, why don't we have it?
it's our
It was
presentation.
part of what was posted on the website.
If it's posted on the website, we'll try to bring it up.
Okay, can we?
That was
I don't know what you're referring to.
I do. That was part of the earlier submission when we threw a lot of renderings out there. We had shown a soccer goal. This is prior to our conversations with the fire guy. So the soccer goal can't be there. Whether there's passive use of that green space, it's green space, but I'm not able to bring that rendering up, but that was part of the submission prior to the August hearing. It is not part of our presentation tonight.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up is there's a disparity between the site engineer's survey of the property, which he did present tonight, and the artistic rendering of what that space is going to look like. So we're being asked to make a decision on a property. We really don't know what that space is going to be at this point. My impression is that if you guys can make a deal with PSE&G, it's going to be some sort of green space and it's going to be kids playing soccer. And if not, it's just going to be a fire lane where no kids will be playing soccer. So I guess that just hasn't been established yet. Is that correct? You guys are still working on it.
Right now, it's the fire lane.
Right now, it's the fire lane. Okay.
Right now, it's the fire lane, and the borough has expressed interest in trying to work with PSE&G for an option. If the PSE&G issue can be resolved, there is the potential, presumably we'd have to come back to the board for some other use if necessary, but we're not there yet. So what is shown is what is proposed, but we're being transparent in the discussions because I think the fire department also would like not to have to pull back there as well. So they would like the PSE&G issue to be resolved, but it is open space. It is as what we've shown.
Okay, I have one more question for the architect.
Sure.
Okay, Mr. Larson, if you took one floor off this project and maybe tucked it in a little bit on the south side, would you need to ask for a single variance?
If I took an entire floor off,
If you took one floor off and just tucked it in a little bit on the south side, would there be a need for even one variance?
I don't know. I can't answer that.
You should be able to answer that. That's why you're here, to answer that.
Well, again, the idea of redesigning the building to lose a floor, there is not a density requirement. There is a height requirement, which we are asking a variance from. There is a parking requirement, which we are asking a variance from. I mean, if you're asking me to theorize, we would re-envision how we laid the units out within the structure, and whether I would have a resultant variance, I cannot answer that.
Well, I mean, if you had less units, you'd need less parking. If the building was a little bit smaller, you wouldn't need the setback variance, and you wouldn't need the height variance. So
Well-
my question is, why does it have to be this big? Unless we're just trying to squeeze every single penny out of the slot.
This is the proposal we've placed. We believe it substantially complies with the ordinance requirements that the borough has put into place. We comply with the density. We comply with the height in most spots, and we're also producing 9 affordable units.
And you're wreaking havoc on First Street.
Let me
So
just, you'll have your
So
time.
I think your question is, could there be a variance if you took up the floor? I think the answer is he doesn't know. I think you answered the question that there probably wouldn't be. So the second part, I think, is more of a comment. But do you want to ask any more questions?
Yeah, my other question is for the site engineer. And this is a question, I emailed Antonius about this. One of my concerns, and I know you guys have done a survey on as far as the stormwater runoff, but has there been any studies done about groundwater? Because this entire area is has a lot of clay in the soil. Every house on the block has got sump pumps. The building that you guys are tearing down has a sump pump, which discharges into South Avenue. So this excavation, which is I'm sure gonna go lower than the existing basement in the building that's there. What is the effect of the groundwater? And does that need to be looked at? Because it's either gonna leach water into it, and then you're gonna have a wet basement, or it's gonna completely block water, and the surrounding properties may have an issue with increased water in their basements. So I'm wondering if that's been looked at.
We have prepared a geotechnical report, yes.
Was that part of the submission on the website? Because I might have missed it.
No, that will be considered a portion of construction documents for the design of our foundation.
Okay, well, can you offer any professional opinion about whether or not this excavation could create a groundwater problem?
If it could create a groundwater problem, I could not answer that. We would have to mitigate any type of groundwater intrusion into the building to make sure that is taken care of at the time of construction, but that's a construction related item that would be required for building permits.
Right, so if you're putting basically what is an enormous impervious, because I know Fanwood loves impervious, an impervious bathtub underground, you're saying that it may not have any issue for, say, Carol, who lives right next door to this project, that whatever groundwater might be disturbed by this project may not end up in her basement. That's the kind of assurance that I'm looking for.
Understood.
All right, so that's the question I had. Regarding the traffic and the parking on the street, for me living here, and also, again, I don't know what's customary for a traffic and parking expert. Obviously, they don't talk to the people that live on the street for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. They just put rubber things in the street and they calculate and they get their numbers. But I can tell you as somebody that lives here that this street is used frequently by speeding cars every morning that use it as a cutoff. They're coming up Martine, they're making a right on the Grand, and they're coming up First Street. And they're going a lot faster than 25 miles an hour. And this is a street that technically is 25 miles an hour. It's not posted anywhere. We do not have sidewalks on our street. So any pedestrian traffic that's on our street, which I walk my dog 3 or 4 times a day, we end up in the street. So the increase of parked cars in the street, which is inevitable, it's absolutely inevitable that overflow parking is going to end up on First Street. It does it right now. If you came to First Street on a Friday afternoon, this street is littered with parked cars.
The question is,
because
you realize you do have an opportunity for comments.
My question is, how grounded is this study in reality? It doesn't jive with reality. I mean, I would invite Joe Steger. I would invite you to my house this Friday. We'll sit on my porch and you can take a look at what parking and traffic looks like on First Street.
I've sat on First Street, and not on your porch, but I've watched traffic. I studied traffic. I counted cars. I counted parked cars. I watched the activity. It's a quiet street. I'm sure during peak hours it's busier. We picked that up, but I was there during the day, midday, to get the parking activity. What I saw was a very quiet street at that time. Peak hour volumes, we have them in our traffic report. They're in the order of about 100 vehicles per hour. Just bear with me a second. I'll get the exact number. We have in the morning peak hour, we have 71 towards South Street and 24 away from South. So the two-way volume is in the order of about 100 vehicles an hour.
Would you categorize the width of our street as being a normal width?
For that volume, yes.
No, the width of the street.
Yeah, the width of the street is, for the volume that it handles, is more than sufficient for two-way traffic.
Do you think it's an adequately sized street with cars parked on both sides of the streets for two-way traffic, moving at a high rate of speed with no sidewalks?
With a high rate speed, I'm going to say that for the volume of traffic and the opposing traffic that you have, 70 cars in one direction, 30 cars in the other direction, that's an appropriately sized street.
Okay, with people walking their dogs in the street, it's perfectly adequate to have
people
opposing traffic on a street that size.
People walking dogs in the street as a mix of vehicles and pedestrians, I think both have to use caution in that aspect.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm going to have more to say when we get a chance to do a summary, but those are really the only questions I have for the.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And quickly, just to specifically address your question on groundwater, I reviewed our geotechnical report, and groundwater was encountered at a depth of approximately 36 feet below the surface of the ground. So it is not anticipated to impact the basement of our proposed building.
Well, my basement is not 36 feet under the ground, and I've got a sump pump, as does everybody on this block. That's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And as said, there will be a chance at the next meeting for commentary. All right, moving along. I believe you said that Matt and Michael Gauthier are part of the applicant. So Mike H, if you have any questions for the application, for the testimony we've heard tonight. Okay, you're still muted. If you give you a couple more seconds.
I think he's with the applicant group.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I believe so. And he may have fallen asleep.
Okay. Thanks.
Possible.
Frank, I have somebody named Frank. Yeah.
No questions.
No question. Okay, thanks, Frank. Is Jeff Weinflash with the applicant?
Yes, he is.
Gary Morris.
Yeah, how you doing?
Hi, Gary.
Hi.
Hi. Let Diane swear you in, and
I already been sworn in previously and
okay.
Understood under oath.
I'm tired, so
just a few quick things. For bicycles, may want to look into. I've seen some apartment complexes do a bike share thing. I think that would make a whole lot more sense than having 50 bicycles trying to store them all over the place. I know in my mom's apartment building, there's 5 bicycles. I almost never see any of them missing. So they just sit there and take up space. So just something to think about. One thing I'd really love to see is renderings that show the house next door. I'm all about, being honest with these things so we could see how close is this when you see it from a rendering. Let's see what it looks like from the upstairs window down onto her property. Let's see what it looks like from her property looking at that. What does it look like now versus what it would look like, when the building is there? I just think it's only fair to show that side of it. We're only looking at it from the street side, and I got to admit, it looks pretty nice, but it's really tall. And I know a lot of this stuff with the heights, we do this thing where it's not really the height. Can we actually say what the height of this building is from its lowest point to its highest point? And not, from the median ground thing to the middle of the roof. Let's just cut to the chase and go full height. What is it?
We follow the regulations and
I'm just asking full height, so everybody knows how tall it is.
We appreciate it, but we are entitled to rely upon the ordinance. We have rights as well. And the ordinance has its dictates, and we had to not radically, but we had to change our design to comply. So I appreciate you might feel that the borough's definition of height calculation is not the one that you want to use, but you're certainly free to present whatever you'd like. But we worked for hours and hours and hours.
Oh, and I understand. I just think
based upon the very, very detailed borough regulations. So we're going to stick with that for our calculations.
Okay, I'm just saying, we're talking about, it's 45 feet, it's 49 feet, when it's really over 60 feet, and the public has a right to know how tall it really is. And that's all I'm saying. The other comment real quick, it's a U-shaped building. What's the distance between the two legs of the U?
Dan, can you respond to that?
Approximately 47 feet.
Okay, 47 feet. Wouldn't it be great to give the next door neighbor that same 47 feet of privacy that you're giving the people that are in the building from each other, looking in each other's windows? I calculate you have 20 windows basically within 25 feet of her property, 4 Juliet balconies, 1 walkout balcony. She's got a backyard. She may have grandkids over and stuff like that. It's only right to give her some space.
The question is, sir.
So, okay, are we ever going to have the fire official at these meetings? Is that something we can do?
Fire official has indicated that he is accepting of the 23 feet that is from the building to the end of the property. I've seen the letter. That's it. And no, he's not. To my understanding.
How many fire trucks in our town, are tall enough to service this building?
I don't know, sir.
We have zero. I do know. I do know. Zero. We have to borrow one from Scotch Plains. That puts us in a vulnerable situation. The more we do buildings that are taller than our equipment allocates, the more difficult it becomes to fight a fire. And I'm all about safety. And one final thing, I really think, and again, I researched it, okay, and I've had conversations back and forth with the fire official, and honestly, there's two different things. There's fire apparatus, and then there's aerial fire apparatus. There's different rules for them. New Jersey chooses not to include that information, but it's in the International Fire Code. It says 26 feet wide, 26 feet wide, okay? And it has all kinds of other requirements for that, that we're choosing not to look at. And I think it makes it rather a vulnerable place for the corner of that building. we have a, you know, it's specifically, and this is even what the fire official put, there's not supposed to be an obstruction in the fire lane. Why do we have a gazebo in the fire lane? Why can't we go the full distance there? I don't understand. It
Chairman?
should go the full distance. And
Chairman, that Mr. Morris is now testifying about what the fire official told him.
no, I am
There's
not.
a lot of leeway here.
No,
You can't say
I am absolutely not saying what the fire official told me. I had a
Just to be
conversation
clear.
with him about it.
Okay.
So sorry to, I've been going back and forth with him because I don't think it's correct in that you're blocking a fire lane. You literally are blocking a fire lane. One other thing that's really important in the fire code, which quite honestly came up regarding the collapse zone situation.
Okay.
You're supposed to have 15 feet clearance from the fire truck to the building so you could operate the ladder. We don't have that right now. Okay, and
So
that's
again, that's
in the
not a
International
question.
Fire Code.
Right.
So I'm just asking, can we go back to our fire official and talk to him about some of these issues? Because I honestly think there's a safety issue there. Again, if you get the wires put underground, everything changes. But right now, you can't put a ladder truck back there. You can't.
Okay, Mr. Morris. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'd just like to chime in, and so for the benefit of the public, to let everybody know that I have since received the updated fire letter from Mr. Scalera dated today, indicating that they are okay with the 23-foot wide fire lane in the rear of the building. So in case there's any questions still.
Yep.
Okay. Chairman, were there any other people with comments from the
That-
public?
The last one I have is the 609 phone number ending with 38. Any comments? I'm not seeing it go off of mute.
Okay.
All right. All right. I think it's fairly safe to say that we're gonna have to continue this to the next meeting. It would have been nice. I know everybody wanted to get through it, but I think we need to wrap it up and give ourselves enough time to properly discuss this at the next meeting following the last expert.
So we have planner left. Is that correct, Mr. Stoneman?
We have planner left, questions for the planner, commentary from board members, commentary from public, and then the discussion of what it is we're voting on.
Okay.
I don't think I'm missing anything else, but that still just by itself sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
You don't want to try to finish it up tonight, Mr. Chairman?
I have to work tomorrow.
I said that a little tongue in cheek, because I have
I
my
know.
client who would like to finish, but we appreciate your time. We appreciate your time, no break. We know you're volunteers and also the members of the public. So we do appreciate everybody's time. Do you have time on November 18th, I think?
Yep.
I got the nod from Pat. That gives us a little time. Again, we're going to try to address, we think we hit most of the issues. There were a couple, the hydrant and a few other things, and we'll do our best to get you some information. So,
okay.
Chairman, we're
Thank
going
you,
to go
Mr.
on the
Stillman.
18th. We'll make the usual announcement, and so the members of the public are clear on that.
Yeah, there'll be no further notice. It's on for November 18th and a continuation, and we'll finish up.
Yes.
Okay, and that's going to be by Zoom. And Pat, will that be the same number, or there might be a different number posted?
It has been consistently the same, so it'll stay the same as it is on the website right now.
Okay, we appreciate that, so the members of the public are aware.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on then. There's no resolutions. I would like to get a motion to open the meeting to the public for anything not about any of the applications. If you have we're Mr. Scollett, you guys are done.
We're
We'll
done,
see you
okay.
on the 18th. Sorry,
Thank
I
you
should
very
have.
much. We
I
appreciate
should have let you know that first. Sorry.
I'll make
I'm just trying to move on.
make a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Second the motion.
Second.
Okay. I'm gonna try very quickly to see if anybody has any comments, not about this application, just about for the planning board in general. Mr. Lau, I see you first.
Only comment is just to thank the board. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Much
very much.
appreciated.
Thank you for sticking in with this. It's good to see the public's interest in these things. And I'm probably going to go through people who there aren't many people left anymore. Mr. Warren, do you have any just general comments for the board?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's appropriate for the planning board or not, but I don't know if you know, but I live immediately behind what used to be the PNC Bank, which is now closed. And one of the issues I was going to raise eventually is the fence behind my house, which is supposed to be maintained by PNC Bank, is in disarray, and all the trees that they planted are pretty much all dying. So is that something who do I go to for that?
We have our zoning official on the call still, Ray Sullivan, which I'm assuming he just heard what we heard. So Ray, can you handle this tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll have to pull up the resolutions from PNC Bank and see what the arrangement was with the vegetation and the fence.
Yeah, I have copies of the easement paperwork, and it's pretty clear that whoever the property, it was United Bank, I think, before it was PNC, whoever the original bank was, there were stipulations that they were supposed to maintain the fence line and the line of trees. And I've been here since 2005, and it's been a never-ending battle to get them to do what they're contractually obligated to do, they're legally obligated to do.
So maybe you can share that with Ray
and then I would have to run Diane. Maybe we could talk tomorrow about this. If there is a condition and the new owner takes over, I'm assuming that all prior resolutions go with the life of the parcel. So the next owner may be responsible and required to adhere to prior conditions of resolution.
Yes.
So
What you're saying is when Landmark Properties buys up the PNC Bank branch and they want to put a 50-story apartment building behind me, they'll be responsible for the trees and the fence.
Yes.
Did you have
Okay.
anything else?
That's all I got.
Okay.
Gotta walk my dog.
Thank
you very much.
Good.
We said Gary Morris was with the applicant.
No.
No. Oh, Mr. Morris, do you have any comments?
No.
No. Okay. And Matt and Matt was with the applicant, I believe.
Yeah, and Jeff.
And Jeff.
We're
So
good.
that would
Nobody
be it.
else.
We're good. Can I get a motion to close it to the public?
Close the meeting to the public.
Second that.
All in favor? Aye. Next meeting is November 18th, 2020, where we'll be picking up from where we left off. Diane, I guess I'll reach out to you since I have an application before this coming up to the board. So can I recluse myself to give the application and join back in, or do I just miss the whole meeting?
Yes, we'll talk. Yes.
Okay. All right.
And I think I may have a conflict on that night, so I can just read the minutes and watch the recording afterwards to vote on the resolution.
I'm hoping we get through that vote that night.
No, on the resolution afterwards.
That doesn't really matter.
No. Okay.
We will have a quorum very easily, as we see. So
I'll do my best, but I'm pretty sure I have a conflict that night.
all right. If there's nothing else, can I get a motion to close it to the public?
I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting to the public and adjourn.
Oh, yes, we did close it to the public. It's a meeting to adjourn. Thank you. A second to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Thank
Well,
you all.
sleep well.
Thank you for your service.